Recording. Here we go. Let us see. As always, we are waiting to go live. We're most likely already live, but just want to make sure. All right, here we go. So, Amalia Natalio of Karmic Kindness here with the one and only extraordinary Madeline Parker.
Hello. Good introduction.
We
That's
are. Yeah, you're welcome, Madeline. So we are here today to talk to you about the Capricorn full moon. This is our bi-monthly cosmic chat. We've been doing this for a few years now. So we thank those of you who have been with us from the start and some
Has it been
new
5
people
years?
who, no, a few, I think three,
Okay.
2.5, maybe three,
Great.
2
Okay.
years, at least two. Yeah. I think we started in 2022 or 2023. We'll have to look at that and see.
Yeah,
See when
curious.
our anniversary is of
Mhm.
starting this. When we first started out, we were doing an episode on my podcast, Soulful Sessions, and it was our cosmic chat on that. And then we just
Yeah.
started doing it just for us, and it became something in and of itself. And
Yeah.
it's been super fun. Okay, so to kind of give everyone an overarching view of this moon cycle, as I do every cosmic chat, and then Madeline goes in deep and wide and really gives us that guidance on each of the 12 signs. What I found interesting about this full moon, which I'm kind of glad there aren't a lot of aspects to this one, is that it feels like it might be a little gentler. And I could use a little gentleness. I know a lot of my clients, people in my world, actually Madeline and I were talking before we started the live, that we know a lot of people that have been shaken up a bit over the past couple months, 6 weeks or so. And so I feel like maybe you'll be sharing more about this, Madeline. I feel like this might be like a little tiny bit of a reprieve, at least from the moon perspective, where we have a little less activations happening involving the moon. So our emotional worlds might get like a little teensy weensy rest. So this full moon is happening on July 10th at 4:37 p.m. Eastern, which would be 1:37 p.m. Pacific at 18 degrees 49 minutes. Let me share the body gates because I feel like this is also really important to note, particularly in the summer months when people are out a lot more active. You're maybe working in the yard or you're doing some sort of physical activity. These are the areas of your body you want to just be a little bit more mindful of. Your knees, your joints, your muscles, bones, skin, hair, and spleen. And think about your spleen too. Your spleen is like this, is a survival organ in a way. And so when you're, when you are getting this feeling, I'm going to go from an energetic perspective when it comes to the body gate versus more the physical part of it. But if you ever have this sensation of like, um, there's a something here is dangerous, or like this is important for my survival, or there's a danger or there's an alert of some kind, pay attention, especially right now, because that part of the body is really activated, and your spleen will oftentimes alert you to any sort of threat or danger that might be in your environment from an energetic standpoint. So just a little FYI. And then I want to share the impact chart for the cardinal signs that will be affected in this upcoming moon. Hold on one second. Let me pull that up. Oh, that window closed. Hold on. Everybody hang tough with me for 1 second. I'm going to get that now. Okay, here we go. So, take a look at your natal chart. I have a link in the description below that will take you to, it's actually on my website. It'll give you a sense of your chart. And then also if you want to get a more of a summary of some things that they have, there's an opportunity to purchase a little report. When you want to go deep and you want to really understand and you really want some specific guidance, Madeline is the person to talk to because she can really highlight some aspects that might, or transits that might be affecting you. I know I do that in my work as well, but I use astrology as well as other systems. So for, a really astrologically based understanding about what's going on, definitely hit Madeline up for that. So here we go. For this upcoming full moon in Capricorn, obviously, those of you who have any points or planets between 13 and 23 degrees of Capricorn, you are going to be feeling this. Anyone with any points or planets between 13 and 23 of Cancer, Aries, and Libra, be aware that there might be some activation. There might be a little bit of tension. You might feel this a little bit more than let's say maybe Scorpio, for instance, who thankfully this has got a nice energetic feel to it. Scorpios have, at least this Scorpio has kind of been through the ringer. So that I'm looking forward to. It'll be really nice. Okay. Some other little fun things. Like I said before, this moon cycle has a really nice aspect. Obviously, the sun and the moon are opposing each other in the sky as they do every full moon. You have the moon in Capricorn, the sun in Cancer. So the moon in Capricorn, think about that as like this feeling. So the moon is bringing the emotions to it. There's going to be emotional depth, but then you have that Capricorn kind of feeling of like ambition and this desire for some stability in your life. Cancer has to do with deep emotional sensitivity, feeling a sense of security. So it's kind of like the two of them are working together. But there's also with the sun in Cancer, this very nurturing nature. This desire to be with family and at maybe even at home, like maybe gatherings in your backyard, kind of togetherness might show up at this particular moon cycle. And with the 4th of July in the United States as a time of gathering right before this full moon, you might really feel that desire to do that. Now, this is what I was going to say before. We have a trine. The moon is trining Mars. Oh, I love this because you're going to feel that emotional part of you, and you're also going to feel this sense of like drive and ambition. But the Mars in Virgo energy is going to bring a focus on efficiency and practicality, a time to take action and make decisions with confidence. So if there's been something kind of percolating for you for a while and you haven't really felt confident to make a decision about something, or you've been on the fence, this might be the time to really bring the emotional landscape along with your action part of you together. So I really, 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 really love this energy. Okay. Bringing in really quickly the gene key for this. I was guided to look at both the sun and the moon because, I often talk about, for the new moons, I talk about one key because that's where the sun and the moon are together. Today I was really debating about, do I talk about where the sun is or do I talk about where the moon is for the gene key? And I decided to go with where the moon is.
Very good.
And I feel like it'll be really helpful. Pardon, Madeline?
I was going to say, I was really like on eggs and needles to see which one you were going to go with.
Yeah. Well, I went with the
Moon.
I went with the moon.
Good one. I think you made the right choice.
I feel like it's totally on point with where we are right now. So here we go. We have the gene key 54 with the shadow of greed, the gift of aspiration, and the siddhi, S-I-D-D-H-I, of ascension. So I put this into the framework of what we're talking about here in the cosmic chat with that Cancer energy and the Capricorn energy that I described a little bit ago. Capricorn is very driven and tends to really focus on career and out in the world. And when you think about, rising in rank when it comes to your career, or maybe ascending your aspirations, that there is a little twinge, a little bit of maybe that greed that can happen if you think of it in a corporate sense. Like you aspire to be the CEO, you're moving up the corporate ladder, if you will. this is a reminder for us, regardless of what your career path is. This isn't, I'm just using that as an example. It's about, if contemplate where greed might creep into your experience of life. Sometimes like Misha and I joke around when, let's just say we're going out and we find like a really great parking spot. And then we go to a restaurant and we get the last two seats at the restaurant. And then we leave there and then we're driving home and it's like I-95 in South Florida is never clear and smooth, but it is for us. And then we're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if then we go to, this place and we get a spot there? And they're like, oh, we can't get greedy. Like we had all these things happen. So it's kind of like that energy. Like, where do you notice you're like kind of in that take sort of energy? And then how can you maybe temper that a little bit, aspire to maybe be generous, aspire to a higher calling, whatever that might mean for you, wherever you are in your life. And then that leads you to ascension. Now, ascension, I think, is a kind of a loaded word. Everyone has their own feelings and viewpoints on it. But think about it in terms of what Richard Rudd, the author of the book, The Gene Keys, and the man who channeled a lot of this information for us, he says ascension is continually triggered through aspiration and is defined as the continual alchemical transformation of matter into spiritual essence. So it's almost like we often talk about taking our spiritual side, our soul self, and creating something in matter. This is about the opposite being true, about taking what your material experience is and being able to share that in a spiritual sense, an energetic sense, and be able to support, the way I see it anyway, is support each other in that process of like raising each other up. So I love this when you think about Cancer and that nurturing space, taking care of one another, taking care of yourself. And then the Capricornian energy of, really being able to be a voice out in the world and have that forward face, that engagement with other people in a way that's really supportive of all. So I feel like this is a really beautiful gene key to contemplate. Keep an eye on my social media because I'll be sharing more about this on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So when around that time, take a look there and I'll have more information there for you to contemplate if you choose. Just kind of a fun way to look into that.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
and I think I'll share the flower after you give your overview, Madeline, if that's cool with
Yeah,
you.
because I want to talk about that gene key thing because you had the serpent on it, and then you had the greed word and the unambition, and
Yeah, I'll
because
put it back up.
Capricorn, sure,
Okay.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Capricorn is the energy of ambition, and then I'm going to talk a lot about this in a minute, but the serpent is what creates the poison, which creates the problems, which Saturn's trying to fix, but that's right
Oh.
there on the gene key, and it's about a snake over the neck of Shiva who creates poison, and I won't go into it totally more, but I'm just saying that's connected to this lineage of Saturn and this snake that creates the karma, which I'm
Ooh.
studying right now, which is very interesting because that is you do have. I'll when it's time, I'll go deeper in on this, but this is an important thing that's going to happen right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd say go ahead and if you
All
want to
right.
share now, we're kind of on that
Sure.
track. And then,
Sure.
the other part of it too is if you think about, I think we're a lot of us, I won't say everyone, because I think everyone's kind of obviously on their own journey. But there's this, I feel really strongly this energy for many people right now of like the shedding of skin, like a
Mhm.
snake. They've
Mhm.
outgrown the way they have operated in their lives. They're ready for a change. Their entire body, their being, their experience of life is even giving them that opportunity. And so this feels aligned with that as well. And that the energy of Cancer being connected to your ancestry, to your family of origin, there might be some unwinding happening for folks that relate to how they were raised, the conditioning of their environment, changing the paradigm, changing the way they experience life based on how they were raised. and going, wait a minute, I don't feel like that resonates with me the way I've been taught for all these years. I feel like I want to experience something different. And I think beliefs are shifting and changing as well as, the way people are engaging with each other. So powerful time for sure.
Yes. Big, big full moon. Are we jumping in here? Am I
Yeah,
going
jump
for it?
in. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the big deal is that Saturn during this full moon, which is ruled by Saturn, and the moon is in fall in Saturn in Capricorn. So there's definitely going to be a reveal of actions we've taken that are causing us problems. So I'm going to go so so this is a Capricorn full moon, 18 degrees, like you mentioned, and it is about long-term achievements, long-term goals achieved. So with Saturn in retrograde, and it's already stationed right now during this full moon, it's station 0 motion. It's not even moving. It's stopped. And then it's going to go into retrograde on the 13th, which is like 3 days after the full moon. So what's that going to mean? So this full moon is going to reveal, I got my notes, that Saturn, so let me go back. Saturn is detachment, discipline, and karma, which means it gives us the right results for actions, results-based actions, deeds. So when I share this full moon, you're going to see there's a big mystic rectangle that's going to show us, bring it clear. Neptune's about to go into retrograde too. And when Neptune goes into retrograde, we get more clarity. In my experience, some people maybe get less, but my experience, I'm Pisces moon, I get more clarity. So we're going to have clarity of past actions. So this full moon is going to reveal the blocks that our karma creates towards ascension.
Mhm.
Okay.
Aha.
That's right. That's why that Jinky was interesting. So, yeah. So just to sort of condense what the full moon in Capricorn is about, it's about the resilience, perseverance. A lot of people who've struggled really hard for a long time really reached the pinnacle of victory on this full moon. There is definitely the potential for a lot of great achievement on this full moon. And it shows you the path that you got to be in alignment though with that Jupiter square. There's a lot going on with Saturn and Aries ruling this full moon, squaring Jupiter, making sure that we set up this new big 29-year chapter in our lives on the right foundation, which is why this full moon is revealing what are we doing that is not on that needs course correcting, because we're going to have Saturn in retrograde. So Saturn in retrograde is going to turn us back to reflect, reevaluate, and redeem any actions that are causing the results that are not what we desire, right? It's karmic results. So one of the things Saturn, so the story that I was learning about Saturn in the snake, that Saturn gives results from your deeds. And everybody was getting all these really, really bad results. So Saturn goes retrograde. Saturn doesn't go retrograde just in motion. It goes retrograde in service, going against the tide of time to balance and correct dharma, karma, and cosmic order. So it's helping us. Saturn's going in retrograde to help us. So, and people think a lot of times that retrogrades are bad, but it's not. It's another chance, another point to pull our act together, to get it right, to pull our act together, basically, right? So this full moon depends on your chart, obviously, how it's going to impact you, but there's a good chance you're going to see the need to course correct in some way. And it's going to be from a retrograde. It's going to be something from the past. It's going to be either a project from the past, and we'll go through all the 12 signs and we'll tell you what it is, where you're going to course correct, because something in our action is not causing us these results that full moon. In other words, this is a full moon of victory. So it's victory retrograde upon just go back and do one thing, victory's there. Then Saturn's going to go back into Pisces to that Gandanta point where we're going to clear up a bunch of karma again. But then after that, it's done. So Saturn goes direct. September.
Oh,
When does Saturn go? I have my notes here and there.
uh,
And then it comes out. It's basically in retrograde for 5 months, right? So then it's going to be in Pisces. It doesn't get back into Aries, I think, into January, February.
January. I thought it was February. I'm going to look it up just
Yeah,
to
might
give
be.
everyone the exact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. So we got to go back and get something right, course correct, but also um um so Saturn felt sorry for us and wanted and said, I can reverse your course of action in the planets in the sky. And then hang on, these are my notes. Let my retrograde motion draw the poison of your karma away from you and into the world and let me carry the burden. So Saturn retrograde is a chance to pull away the poison that was created through karma. And what is that? That poison is which is represented by the serpent, is greed, which is why I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
What is it? Ignorance, greed, and negativity, collective negativity, right? So Saturn in retrograde, I'm going to give you an example. If you don't help people in difficult times, you may not get help in a difficult time. So Saturn going retrograde is correcting your karmic imprint. And it's causing you, reminding you to take deep karmic responsibility, introspective, and withdraw from ego and take ownership. Saturn retrograde pulls back the tide of karma, the karmic tides, and absorbs toxic karma from the universe, helping people reflect and correct.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah.
Reflect and correct.
Yeah. I'm studying the story of Saturn in mythology. It's really fascinating because when you study the mythology behind the planets, you understand the transits really deeper on a deeper level. Like you get the story. Because so in other words, what Saturn is doing is Saturn is the results of our actions, our deeds. And then it goes backwards to help us out so that we can reflect on the outcome of our deeds to determine whether it is the reflection that what actions do we need to change to create a different return on our actions. So we're being given a chance.
So I'm not.
Yeah.
So I'm not finding, I don't know why it's not coming up. Every time I'm looking for when Saturn moves direct, it's showing me 2027, which isn't correct. So Saturn is in Pisces until February 13th, 2026. So, and then it goes back into, Aries. At least that's what I'm seeing here. So that might be helpful for people. So
Saturn,
September 1st to February 13th is kind of, it looks like when it's shifting.
it goes retrograde to November 15th, and then it's going to pull back. I think it goes back to 26 degrees or 25 degrees of Pisces, and then it turns around and heads back. And yeah, I don't know. It doesn't tell me when it hits Aries.
So it's like sometime, I'd say the middle of February next year,
Yeah.
early February is when it's going to get back into Aries. So that's going to be a repeat energy of what was happening at the end of
Yeah.
May, everyone. So
Yep,
just
we're
be
going
aware.
back. Whenever, it's a big deal because Saturn and Aries is beginning a huge 29-year cycle, and it's been squared by Jupiter, stopping us impulsively taking impulsive directions and actions that are not in alignment, that are not, and blocking results from anything that's out of alignment of our true dharma, course correcting karma with this retrograde motion. And then it goes back into Pisces, where that Gandanta point is, where we're all untangling a big knot. It's so funny. I was thinking about that. I was fixing a little piece of jewelry I was making, for my coils that I was making. And there was this big knot in it, and I had to redo it and take it out and redo it. And I'm like, wow, isn't that Saturn retrograde at the Gandanta point? Like doing it over. There was a knot there's a kink in the thingy. Because when I put the wire through, there was a kink in it and I didn't straighten it out first. And so then it tangled the whole thing up. So I'm like,
Oh, yeah. So I
should have
also,
spent time to undo the kink.
exactly. It's that foundational piece,
Yes.
setting the foundation for the rest of it. You didn't prep the wire properly, and so it created a
Yep,
problem later.
that's right. I went too fast. I pushed it too quick and it pulled the whole loop out. Pulled the whole loop out of it. So very good example of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Now, the shadow, let's talk a little bit more about shadow. Of course, any kind of a karmic thing could flare up, like, you know, some kind of payback of karma. But actually, we're really redeeming, we're really redeeming our actions from the past. So it can be like, for instance, in some people, this will play out with like if you're coming, there's going to be Mercury retrograde here too, on the 17th. So there's people coming back from the past. So perhaps there's apologies, forgiveness. Because if karma was in the way of your dharmic, you see what Saturn wants to do is realign us with our dharmic and clear our karma, so we are on our dharmic path, right? So we're going to get relationships from the past showing back up, or projects from the past showing back up, and we have to resolve a karmic poison that had been blocking this forward motion. So it's like a chance to go back and fix, correct, and heal and redeem a mishap, a misdoing, a judgment, a misaction, unaligned. And so this full moon is going to reveal that, right? The past, many things from the past are going to surface. We're going to see the real face of people. So we could either just, it could either, you know, if it's a karmic relationship you're holding on to that's karmically draining your energies, then this relationship will be revealed that it is to be released. Or you may see relationships reconciling because they are part of their destiny. And it was a karmic entanglement that caused blockages in the flow of this relationship. Both people having a karmic knot of some sort that needed untangling. I think I'm one of those people. Anyway, because I'm Cancer rising. Oh no, Jupiter, Sagittarius. We have Jupiter rules our 7th house. So, and Jupiter is now, here's some really good things. Oh, let me share the chart. I forgot to do that. Let's quickly share the chart. So we're going to have Jupiter during this full moon. Here we go, 18 degrees. We're going to have, Neptune is in retrograde motion. Darn, when did Neptune go retrograde? Is it already retrograde? When did Neptune
I
go
don't think
retrograde?
so.
It's showing retrograde on this full moon. I've got my notebook here. Anyway, Neptune is already retrograde, and Neptune and Jupiter are highly connected. Anyway, it goes 7-5. I don't have it down here. So Neptune goes retrograde on the 5th. And
Okay, there we go.
yeah, so right now as we're speaking, it's already stationing and it's zero motion. And look at this incredible rectangle. There's a mystic rectangle, which means we're going to get big downloads we're going to get huge, big downloads of our destiny, because the nodes are making this incredible angle to the sun. So this is a big reveal. This is a big opening of the realm and downloading big insights, big ideas, our new destiny trining that Saturn about to go retrograde. It's sort of saying, and we are really on a very positive trajectory of abundance, because Jupiter is now out of combustion, by the way, on this day. Jupiter is 11 degrees.
Yay.
Yeah,
That
so
feels
we're
so
out of
good.
combustion. So good. So your Jupiter houses are going to start going forward. Jupiter people ruled, and that's going to be really abundant. Look at this beautiful rectangle. I mean, that's some sort of big spiritual, the part of the sky that 18 degrees is a part of the sky that's very does have a spiritual element to it. I have my Mercury there. This is going to be a big one for me, this full moon. So
I love that for you, Madeline.
thanks. I'm excited about it. So and it's funny because I have one of these rectangles in my chart, but it hits at 0, it hits at 10 degrees. But anyway, but this full moon sextiles it's on my Mercury, sextiles my Neptune, which is what works for me and what makes it successful for me to be a psychic astrologer, because it's a nice flow angle. So this will be good for some. It really does depend on your chart. Now, the only way that this is going to be a tough full moon is if you are repeating a pattern that's causing negative outcomes. Your deeds you're going to see the results of your actions in your deeds, but Saturn is a forgiving planet. and wants you to help you course correct it. So it's not like doomsday is not the end of the world. You're being given a chance to course
Yeah.
correct. So, but these energies again are very beautiful, but I do think a lot of people are going to get big psychic downloads, visions, ideas. Plus we have Uranus just shifted into, oh, wow. And it's making a big trine to Pluto. So people can get really rich if they come up with big new ideas. Lots of ideas are floating in the ethers right now, big ideas that are taking us, that are part of this new destiny, that are part of us going forward in this 29-year cycle into the age of Aquarius, which is so abundant. There's so much reason to be optimistic here. And I did a report on another one of my videos where I don't see a World War III, because in all the World War astrology maps I've looked at, I've seen a Saturn-Pluto relationship, and Pluto is always at the early degrees. So was Saturn, but we have a really positive flow aspect to it. So it's a really, things are going to be okay for a while. Pluto will square Saturn though in about 4 years when Saturn goes into Taurus, and Pluto's at about 10 degrees. I think at about 10 degrees they'll square, and that is the potential for a war, a big war. But we can advert that. That is what astrology is here to teach us to do by taking big peace initiatives. So that's what astrology was for, because Pluto and Saturn are always going to square each other every so many years. They have to. All the planets are always going to square each other. They're always going to hit challenging degree points. That's why the universe wanted to help us out. Say, look, we got watch out on this one, So now the shadow aspect would be a heavy vibe, heavy feeling of Saturn going heavy on us. Retrograde, it's closer, it's slower, it's grinding, it's blocking, it's causing delays. But for our best, for our best, for our best. So,
Can I just chime in one thing, Madeline, that's
sure,
been really
sure.
something I've been contemplating recently, it's come up, is, and I had a friend that left me a really lovely voice memo recently, and he was talking about negativity and positivity, and staying high vibes, and when you feel low, then you really talk to yourself and you bring yourself up, and I love that. That's fantastic. And from a soul perspective, we're there are no good or bad feelings or experiences. They're all just experiences. So what we as humans perceive as negative or bad, while from the human perspective could very well be bad, is an experience. And I find it really interesting when, a lot of the people that are interested in astrology and energy and spirituality, there's so many people talking about, just change your vibration, raise your frequency, positive
Right.
affirmations, all of those things, which are great. And I'm not dismissing them. It strikes me though, because you were talking about the planets and how there's oppositions, there's squares, it just happens. That's part of the experience of life. And is there a way that we can take these experiences and use them as these launching off points, even in the challenge, versus getting sucked into the challenge and making it wrong, or trying to candy coat it and be like, I'm grateful for this shit show of my life that I'm in right now because it's going to lead me down this. Well, yes, but you can still feel crappy for a little while. You can still acknowledge that this experience doesn't feel good and that you're not enjoying it, and that there are lessons, and sometimes lessons are challenging and sometimes they're not. And being with the full spectrum of the experience without judging it or labeling it as best you can. And
Interesting you're tapping on this.
yeah, I just feel like there's such a big, people talk about spiritual bypassing, and I feel like that is done quite often when we're constantly being bombarded with the messages of high vibe and stay positive and, shift your frequency. And again, I'm not discounting those things. They are really important and they're really great. But sometimes it's important for us to really be with the what we would consider negative emotions or negative experiences, so that allows us to really access maybe some subconscious wounding or deeper traumas that have occurred in our life that we weren't able to access before. So, and if you are doing that, please make sure you're getting support. You have someone that's helping you out, whether that's a coach or a therapist or someone that can support you in that process, even a good friend that can hold the space for you. Anyway, I just wanted to share that
Well,
little
I think
tidbit.
that's a very, very good topic that you bring up, because this is the journey of Saturn. Exactly, because this full moon will reveal to you your cosmic actions that are your karmic actions that are causing your suffering.
Hmm.
But the negativity that's causing in your life is because of you, your actions, and and as within, so without. So the planets are trying to show you what's going on inside of you in retrograde that is causing this crap in your life.
Yeah.
So you are looking in at your negativity. And the thing about Saturn, what Saturn wants to train us and mature us into, right, is that we are people that can suffer, like we're in suffering, right? Wait, let me get those notes. I just had
Okay.
that. It reminds us, yeah, it reminds us that great power is in holding suffering without reacting or causing karmic results.
Uh-huh.
So it's not about, it's about under your negative lower density frequency energy field. You want to make sure you're not acting on that. And that you're, like you're saying, you're reflecting on it, you're going in and seeing what healing. A lot of our karmic actions are based in fear, unhealed things, unhealed
Yeah.
subconscious. So the negativity is our fear-based attachment disorders that are causing us karma. So in the suffering is what fuels our out of aligned actions that cause karma. So the positivity, what we're going to align with is, yes, I'm in pain. Yes, I'm suffering. Yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I'm this, but I will not act that way. I will continue acting in a way that does not drop. I will act consciously despite that, and not
Well,
create more fear experiences or results of my fear.
yes. And you know what? That saying, fear is false evidence appearing real, I think is
Yeah.
so on point with what you're saying too. It's like
Mhm.
this kind of the stories on repeat that
Yeah.
we've learned from our conditioning from our past.
Yeah.
We've got some comments here on the live that I wanted to share too.
Sure.
Natalie is tuning in, and thank you for being here, Natalie, and Matthew as well.
Amen.
So I hope everyone goes and reads the comments. I don't want to go too deep in that, but she was speaking directly to what we were talking about with like moving that energy and kind of like allowing those emotions to be there. And she said that sometimes she puts on emo music, sits in her room and listens to The Cure to cry it out, and she always feels better after. I love
Wow.
that. Music is such a beautiful way for some people,
Yeah.
not everyone, to access those emotions and move through it and just allow them a place and space to be and a release, which is so important for all of us. You know, we hold so much in, especially I feel like men and women both hold it in, but I feel like there's a that little bit of a people pleaser tendency in a lot of women, at least that I see in the client work that I do and in my in my circle, myself included, where there's that energy of like, okay, I have to be a certain way. I have to show up a certain way. And then we hold all of this in because we don't want to seem vulnerable or weak. And it's really important to allow that some space to
Yeah,
release.
and that's part. Now, that's the other thing, that a lot of the karma that's going to show up on this full moon is going to be where karma you're doing at you. Like if you are people
Yeah.
pleasing, you're going to see, wow, you're abandoning yourself, or you're going to see that you make other people more important. You're caring more for other people because somebody isn't going to care about you. So there's going to be a reflection of how you abandon yourself. The karma that you're creating often is most people is on our own selves by not value.
Yeah.
It can be that you don't value. I was just doing a reading on someone, and it's showing up. She just doesn't believe her mission is bigger than her belief in herself.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like she's got this karmic thing in her where she doesn't value herself and so it's blocking her mission purpose in a way. Like it's blocking who you're here to be. And that's karma, because you're going against the purpose of your creation.
Well,
by a lie. Because Neptune there and and that's the thing is it's an illusion because you're not good or bad. You're this, you're who you are. So that creates karma either way in the blockage, that fear blockage, which is causing the results in your life that you're not living your dharma. It's blocked. It creates a block.
and so I just want to say for those people, and again, I can say this also because I felt this myself. I'm sure you have too, Madeleine. It's like, what is my purpose? What is my dharma? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? You know? And even when you know what that is,
Mhm.
life circumstances and different things will happen that will often make you doubt it or question it or wonder if is that me? It's a little of that imposter syndrome that might come into. And
Mhm.
my suggestion or invitation to those who might have that same experience, because I have to remind myself this often, is like, what is one step that you can take that lines up with what you've considered to be your purpose or your mission, or the place that you feel drawn to or passionate about? And this will vary based on a lot of different factors. So this is not a one size fits all. It's just kind of an overarching thing. And then how do you feel when you're taking that action, and what sort of feedback are you getting? Are you getting resistance from the universe, or are you getting openings? Even if it's a tiny opening, it doesn't mean you go from step 1 to step 50 and you just skip all the rest. It's like you take that step, and then what feedback are you getting? Is it like one person that shows interest? Is it 10 people, or is no one? Okay, that gives you a little information to help you figure out what your next step is. But it's the key is continuously getting curious, being curious, and taking some form of action when inspired, not action for the sake of action.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I feel like this moon cycle in particular is going to be really helpful in feeling that the emotional uh, inspiration, and then we've got that Mars that's really supportive, that really gives that little boost to the action. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Madeline?
Well, yes. It's kind of interesting because Mars, we are going to have a big transit coming up here on the 20th. That's pretty strong, is that Mars is going to conjoin the South Node. And if you notice, all the planets, the personal planets, except for the moon, are on one side of the nodes. And this is opening. So Mars is going to open that up, and Mars is ruling Saturn. So we're definitely going to start feeling things forward motioning, even though Saturn is in retrograde. And then Mercury is going to go into retrograde, and that's going to bring in again stuff from the past. That's
Yeah.
part of that wasn't supposed to be left in the past. But ask your question again. Sorry, I feel like I don't have a clarity on it.
Well, it was just about dharma and purpose, and
Okay.
sometimes we're not sure about what to do,
Oh, okay.
what
Well,
that is for us,
yeah,
and
yeah. So it's really clear. It's really easy. Just look at your Jupiter. It's really simple. Your Jupiter's your Dharma. If I see someone's Jupiter in the third house, they're supposed to communicate media stuff. I don't you have Jupiter in the third?
no, I have Jupiter in the second, and that's why I feel like, yes, that's a great starting point, but it's not always clear, because Jupiter in the second has to do with your value and worth, but also it has to do with making money, and for me personally,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm being guided more towards my North Node than I am my
What sign
Jupiter.
is your Jupiter? What sign is your Jupiter in the second?
Sagittarius.
There you go. So your Jupiter in Sagittarius is you're supposed to advance. So the second house is the like the material.
Yes.
So you're here to bring spiritual knowledge into a practical, useful material realm.
Well, that is true. Yeah, that is true.
So when you know your dharma, it's not like a specific you're working in a coffee shop. Your dharma
Right?
is
Yes.
your dharma is
Yeah.
like my dharma. I know my dharma clear. It's I have my moon in the ninth house. Jupiter rules my moon. Jupiter rules my sun in the house of service. So I know it is my job here to bring people back into inspiration,
Right.
to re-inspire and reinvigorate about your life, right? It's even in my crescent waning moon. You can look at your moon. Look at the moon will show you a lot about you. So your dharma. So then you can clothe that dharma in whatever. Then we go and put that in a house or in a situation. Like there's a lot of therapists and counselors who are hairdressers. Their dharma is to help women have better self-esteem. So it's like you can put that in a hairdresser, you could put that in a makeup, or just in a group of women, and you take photographs and make everybody feel good.
Well, and I think
Right?
that's where it gets
Self-esteem.
confusing
Yeah.
is because there are oftentimes like what it looks like, and there's all these different ways that you can see it. What it
Mhm.
looks like doesn't always show up in your life or isn't lining up with what your life looks like now. And I think
Right.
that can throw people off, which is why like I just say simply it's that innate sense of what you're drawn to. I know that when I first started karmic kindness almost
Uh-huh.
10 years ago, I was really in a place of I wasn't sure what I was doing or what I was going through a lot of internal turmoil as well as
Mhm.
physical. And at the time, what was interesting was that I started to reflect on the things that I used to love to do as a kid. And I remember that
Yes.
I used to love to walk
Mhm.
up and down our gravel driveway and find the most sparkly, beautiful rocks.
That is Jupiter in your second house. Second house is precious objects. A lot of people who sell jewelry and make jewelry have planets in their second house.
Well, and that's where I started was making jewelry and then
Hmm.
morphed into what it is now because I was supporting people, guiding people, sharing different things with people when I was making a piece of jewelry for them. And so
Right?
now it is what it is. But it's like one of those things, had I not reflected on things that I used to love to do, I would not have gone down that path.
This, this is the point. This is very important. Your dharma is not making the jewelry. Your dharma was giving that spark that the jewelry gave. That's what
Right.
dharma is. Your dharma is your mission, your whole life mission, which is how do I spark? How do I guru? Because Jupiter is your guru. So where your Jupiter is, how you're here to guru. So
Right.
your
Uh-huh.
guru here is the metaphor, is the jewelry, and your Saturn is in your north. I'm sorry, your Jupiter is there. So you're the spark. You're a light, and it can be with this too, but it's a metaphor too. And you are here to create financial. You are here to discover how to create financial stability and security through your dharmic actions, which is to raise spirituality, to bring it into a practical thing. And it could even be through educating people through spiritual things and spiritual properties that make a connection to the eighth house. That downloads information, or you're making a spiritual connection through a spiritual object as well. And so, like, for instance, what you want is a sentence for your dharma, and that's what I have on my thing is I light and I ignite and inspire people about their lives. And then I also say I'm raising the vibrations of the planet one person at a time.
Oh, I love
So
that,
that's
Natalie.
that's and so what does that do? That one, you want to set an intention. So important right now for your dharma. You set that
Yeah.
intention because your intention and your dharma align up. So your intention, my intention, has nothing to do with tarot reading or astrology or live or going to someone's house or going to do workshops. That is my umbrella. That is my raison d'etre. Why God put me here was to reignite and inspire people about their lives, and I can see it every day when I work, and that's all I know that I'm here to do. So,
That's
and then
great. I think that's helpful, Madeline, because it
yeah.
it it kind of just brings it into more of a broad focus than a really
Yes.
laser focused.
Dharma is macro.
Yeah.
Sagittarius is macro. Dharma is a macro purpose. The micro, people are looking for, how do I put that into the micro? No, go the other way. Find your
Yeah.
macro purpose. Then you find ways, many, many ways, that you can bring it into the material realm. And those are karmically aligned, that you were designed to do it in a way that you're naturally gifted. A lot of times your natural gifts will be, sometimes people find their dharma by their natural gifts. Oh, that's my dharma. This gift keeps showing up.
Right. Oh my God, that's so good.
So
So good.
yeah,
All right, let me pop back over to the chat here really
sure.
quickly.
I'm gonna get cards. Yeah.
Okay, so Okay, yeah. So Matthew and Natalie, thank you so much. I don't want to go through
Yeah, sorry,
read
I
every
forgot
single thing
about.
out, but I really, really highly encourage anyone who is watching the replay to go back and take a look at the chat as well, because they're dropping some really good stuff.
Oh,
So
good.
Matthew was saying that he sometimes feels like something amazing is going to happen, but then you don't know how or when. And I think that's just life, you know? It's like even with astrology, it gives you a little bit of it gives you a framework. It gives you a general sense of the energy. But the fun of life is you just don't know how it's going to show up for you. You might know a little bit more about the when because we've got some time parameters on energetics. But um, I would say maybe just an opportunity for a mindset shift in feeling this sense of curiosity and excitement around what's to come. Um, and
I
then,
gotta throw in a little astro knowledge in on that.
yeah, yeah, toss it. Well, yeah, yeah. Let's go
Neptune's,
ahead.
many people don't know, we're not supposed to have total clarity right now. Neptune's squaring. You're absolutely correct. Something big, big, big change is about to happen. Mega big changes, big life changes. You can feel it on an intuitive level, but you can't clarify it yet because
Yeah.
Neptune and Saturn are in retrograde, blocking that because you're supposed to go reflective right now and clear up some more course correction, mistakes or misdeeds or redemption in order to align more. And also a lot of these things that are in our psyche body that are karmically fear-based that this full moon is going to reveal, which may reveal that we've healed. By the way, we could see that we've really healed.
Mm,
We could get triggered and we're like, wow, that totally didn't trigger me. So yeah, so we're going back and course correcting these karmic patterns, which then heals more that we're already on, which then enables you to connect on that deep level where you have that stronger connection with the universe. So it sort of clears up, and then you've got total clarity, and you're just like, yes, this is it, and we're going to have that because, in my opinion, these retrograde motions, as they continue, as they go retrograde, then they're going to go back into Pisces, and Neptune and Pisces in retrograde. You're going to get a lot of clarity of your dharma, of your, you're going to get that clarity. So if you don't have clarity right now,
it's okay.
you're supposed to not do, and you're going to get reflection, and you're going to get, like, for instance, I was with somebody yesterday for coffee and she didn't have clarity. I said, that's your Neptune right there. And then we really hashed it out together about what it was she was going to monetize or how to create financial stability. And we came into all this clarity about it. Like, it just came through. So yeah, so you're right to know, to even be able to articulate that you don't have clarity means you're in alignment, but hold that and stay open, because that knowing that makes you now ready for clarity. That makes
You know,
sense.
yeah, I love that because that I feel like you're absolutely right about that. It's like when you're not even aware of what's happening or that it's not totally clear, then it's sometimes you're not open to the clarity that can come in. It's kind of how I'm taking
Yeah.
the thing.
Yes. And
Yeah.
these retrograde planets make us much more absorbent because we're in reflection and we're a little bit in delay motion. We're not
Yeah.
really, um, you know, doing my cards here. You know, getting this ready.
So,
So,
one more thing Natalie's saying here, she's
sure.
like, sometimes heavy feelings aren't always a bad warning. She's learned this. It could be a great change, but you don't have the tools or insight yet to know how to channel that in a way that isn't causing anxiety, which is true. Like just from a very, practical, pragmatic
Mhm.
standpoint. And that I think is part of the experience is recognizing when that happens, the dialogue that you might have about the experience that's happening that you're not loving completely, and then finding a pathway through that feels really supportive of where you are currently and where you're going, even if you don't know where it is that you are going.
Yeah.
It's still you're on the path. You're taking the steps.
Lack of clarity is a step. It pushes you to seek clarity.
Yeah. Well, before we jump
And
into
also
this,
you're questioning things, which is a good thing.
that is
So,
good because
yeah.
you're expanding your mind, you're expanding your
Mhm.
belief system, you're expanding your capacity to become more malleable, if you will. Really allow yourself to morph and change and become the being that you're here to become, that
Yep.
you may not even know.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think if these blocks weren't happening, we'd all be like charging into the like, yeah, these new beginnings, Aries, new beginnings, yeah, to do it. And we're like, wait a minute, where are we going again?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's go. I don't know where we're
Yeah,
going.
that's like, yeah, it's like, wait, oh, you know,
All right, so I'm going to share the flower for this
sure.
new moon, and then we'll jump into all 12 signs. We really went off on a bit of a tangent here today, but apparently it was necessary. Thank you for bearing with us, and thanks you to Matthew and Natalie for your comments. It was really fun to have you guys having the conversation with us. All right, so here we have the pink magnolia. Now, this flower to me is really, really beautifully connected to the energy of Cancer. It's very soft. It feels more Cancerian in nature than Capricorn in nature. However, at the same time, it's kind of like reaching up. You know, some of the flowers we see, they hang down. Some of them are kind of like straight on. These are reaching up. I feel like that may be a little more Capricorn, like that ascension of the gene key that we talked about. This flower, let me go back to my notes here.
Any water, keep talking.
Okay, this flower, the pink magnolia, has to do with self-care. Now, just for those of you who might be new, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. I'm using the Lotus Way Flower Evolution. Look at you, Madeline, you're hilarious.
Yeah, I just asked her.
Um, so these are the flower evolution cards by the company Lotus Way. And I use these for all of our cosmic chats. I also use these with the work with my clients. They're extremely supportive flower essences that are in elixir, mist, and serum form. Now, this particular flower, the pink magnolia, could be found in the blend Infinite Love. Infinitely loving yourselves, others, your dharma, your purpose, like what you're here to step into, what you're here to experience. Now, you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to do anything other than really just take in this flower. What does it, how do you feel when you look at it? Take a screenshot of this, put it somewhere that you can see. If you live in a place where you can access these flowers, because some of them that we'll be talking about for each of the 12 signs, you might be able to purchase a flower and have it in your space, and it as a reminder and energetic expression of what support that flower brings in. All plants, flowers, everything is energy. Everything carries a frequency. And so when you are, even if it's a mental image of that flower, you're connecting with the essence of that flower. So the pink magnolia, take exquisite care of yourself. This is about self-care. That's very Cancerian. This also is a reminder that you are worthy and complete just as you are. You are worthy and complete just as you are. Um, it's also a reminder to hold on to some of your own energy for yourself. It's not always about giving. It's not always about it going out. It's a balance of the two. It's that giving and receiving, the caring for yourself and then caring for others at the same time. And I just love this pink energy that surrounds us right now with this flower going forward, especially with the this idea of really healing some wounds, some beliefs, some old stories that we might have that relate to our families during this time period. And one other side note, reflect on what happened during the Capricorn new moon, December 30th of 2024. There may be some completions for you, or it'll highlight an area of your life that is either completing now or maybe needs a little tweaking. So that's another place of contemplation for folks
Really
too.
glad you brought that up because I had a really great thing happen to me on that or the next day.
Oh,
And Saturn rules our seventh house, Cancer rising sun.
very interesting, Madeline. We'll have to see how that all unfolds.
See?
Yeah. So, all right.
See if I've
Okay,
cleared my
so
karma or not.
that would be so great. Natalie's
Yeah.
asking if they need to be real or fake flowers. I personally think
Real.
that when you're coming into the energy of the flowers, real, yes. Um, having fake flowers just as a reminder, there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to doing this work, I would highly recommend real flowers or the essences. Let me see. I can grab, I have some here at my table.
I have some too. I'm smelling lavender.
I
Mm.
actually have the Infinite Love.
On a path.
I actually have the Infinite Love mist with me right now. This this one smells like roses. Um,
Oh, that's nice. I have a friend that gifted me some of this rose spray. Look at
yeah.
this. Wow. Thank you. So nice.
So it's lovely. Yeah. So you could, I would say, if you want to bring in real flowers, that's better. And again, you don't need to buy anything. It's really just connecting with the flower. And so, Natalie, for you, you said you have Capricorn in your chart. I don't know where exactly that is in your chart, but this is going to be a potent moon for you. So, the pink magnolia for anyone who has Capricorn in their chart will be really supportive, but we're going to be going into a flower for each one of the signs, and those might be other areas that you can bring into your life as well. Screenshots, I think, are huge. That's such a great way to bring in that flower, connecting with the flower. As silly as it may sound, talk to the flower. Hey, pink magnolia, what is it that I need to know? Can you surround me and maybe imagine yourself surrounded by the flowers of that particular tree or plant or bush, depending on what it is. And just imagine them maybe a cape or a robe made out of the flowers or a crown. Just have fun, play with it. You can't really make a mistake or do it wrong. So that's my 2 cents on it. All right. So Madeline, do you want to jump into Aries?
Yeah, wow. I'm just looking at Aries right now. It's pretty insane actually for Aries because you guys have got Saturn, Neptune, Chiron all in your first house. And this full moon is in your 10th house. And it's sort of like I'm gonna
Madeline, I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you. The
sure.
card.
Oh, I'm very, very grateful. I'm very grateful you interrupted me. Okay.
All right. 10th
Back on
house, you said.
10th
Yes.
house. So yeah, these fabulous new beginnings. Don't forget Mars is in Virgo in your 6th. So it's like high service. And the North Node is in your 12th house. So you've cleared karma. I just did a video on my YouTube channel. I'm going to get to the other side. Sorry, people that are waiting. I've heard they're like, when are you going to? I've been kind of busy, but I also went paddleboarding, so I'm not entirely innocent. But anyway,
Hey, but this is exactly the energy of this moon cycle. It's like you taking care of yourself
yeah,
and then taking care
not
of
work
others. Yes.
like a
Yeah.
slog or whatever, slog work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a karmic thing too. It's a Capricorn karmic thing. Yes, very much. So anyway, so Aries have got this big thing opening up with your nodes in your 12th house of travel. Potentially your Dharma involves travel, but also you've got this high service thing happening. You're going to have the South Node and Mars. I'm going deeper into this in the month, but that's a big transit happening on the 20th where you release some sort of mega karmic block that's stopping you from being of service, and you really step forward on some sort of mission with some sort of zealous fever and inspiration. And then with Saturn in retrograde, Neptune in retrograde, and Mercury going retrograde in your 5th house, if you're not in a relationship, there's a good chance you're going to line up, you're going to get married, you're going to be with your true partner, your true dharmic soul contracted partner. If you are married and the relationship is wrong, it could collapse. If it's the right marriage, you really step into some sort of co-creative project. Again, Mercury retrograde in the 5th house, friendships from the past, projects from the past coming back. And then also maybe just an old version of you coming back that was prior to when all this karma clearing started in this big chapter that started 29 years ago. So it's almost like the real you is back in this retrograde. A true authentic version of yourself opens up that puts you on the right. You really connect with a more authentic version of yourself that aligns you with this true path, and you're very inspired by it and you want to be of service. This is the Aries on fire in a way that, plus they've got Saturn there, so they're not out of control. So
Reining in a
anyways,
little.
they're slowing it down, really taking this seriously, taking some new beginning really cautiously, very serious, really course correcting, perhaps redeeming some of their past actions in these relationships that are coming in from the past, apologizing, course correcting some of their behavior. Mercury retrograde, really good chance there's a creative project from the past, which I think I already said. Jupiter, let's look at what Jupiter is doing in your fourth house, and Jupiter's out of combustion. So there's some sort of big shift with the nodes there, moving your location, changing, course correcting a family situation, getting in a relationship, starting a new family. Beautiful karma cleared, new, pure slate, clean slate energy for Aries. And
Oh,
this full moon could show up some toxicity in your careers, because poison has been for Aries karma with Capricorn over their 10th, where they've been experiencing karmic relationships and fear-based career choices. Now they're stepping onto their more authentic, true aligned, soul contracted, destined career that is of high service, from a motive of service, because Mars is in this energy of service, purifies the motive when Mars is in Virgo. And plus Jupiter just got Kazimi'd, so it got purified in motive. So
we're talking about purification. I think this flower
oh,
is really strikes me as like a pure flower with this beautiful
nice.
white, the green in the background that reminds you about just coming back into the heart again, which reminds me of Cancer. This this is jasmine, and jasmine reminds us that we can shine our radiance in the world. We have this beautiful way of magnetizing and attracting people and experiences to us, feeling confident. And one of the most important aspects of this that I feel like really connects with this particular moon cycle is a feeling of self-appreciation, really appreciating who you are, what you're here to do, what experiences you've had, how you've navigated challenges, how you've been able to step into the truth of who you are. So Jasmine is really supportive of this time period for Aries. So I just, yeah, just
That's very
appreciation.
spiritual. It really points me to the North Node in their 12th house, where they're stepping into their dharmic spiritual path. It's like Aries are not, they're looking more spiritual than they are material, because the South
Hmm.
Node is in Virgo. So we're letting go of that more earthly, controlling thing and going for flow.
All right. Speaking of controlling, how's it looking for Taurans? Taurus up next.
Oh, today's a big day for Taurus, because we have Venus conjoining Uranus in your sign right now, the 29th degree, today and tomorrow. So surprise, lucky things could show up. Surprises, running into somebody, surprising news, financial good news. That could happen to anybody if it touches your chart the right way. So for Taurus, we're looking at this full moon in your ninth house of travel, but also this is a karmic new moon, full moon. So you're going to reveal how maybe some of your beliefs were really out of alignment, how you may have made judgments on people from beliefs that were not right, and how you're causing karma in your life by having judgment or having rigid beliefs, or not believing in spirituality. So you suddenly become a believer in spirituality, or you suddenly see a truth, revelation, that an epiphany that makes you realize you've really seen things in a negative way, or in some sort of caused you to be you may have had conflicts in the past around this that caused, and so now you're really purifying that, and you're seeing that you want to open your mind up, and actually you're going to have some sort of a revelation as to your dharma, because that blockage, that something was blocking your ability to see your dharma there, with that karma, with that some kind of a fear-based judgment, because your ninth house is going to tends to be a judgment or a rigid opinion or a belief, or
Mm.
what you do with Capricorn over the ninth is you decide what if something is, and you make it that's the belief, and that's what it's going to be, and that's how you're going to work it, and you're going to work hard at that because that's the belief. But you're not being open and flexible and seeking truth. The ninth house is about the truth. So there's some big truth revealed that helps you understand your dharma on a deep level. And it really aligns with your soul calling, because it makes this beautiful. We've got this angle with Saturn and Aries in your 12th house, where you're really coming into a dissolving of the fears that are holding you back from being a leader in this ninth house arena. Some kind of a belief that you've had resistance for is very connected to your dharma, and then it gets collapsed, and then you align with your dharma with this freedom. That's what Saturn is doing. This heaviness is putting us through this heaviness so we can be free. It's hard to see that at the time, or when you're going through it. So Venus, your ruling planet, is in the second house. Very nice, Taurus. Wow, Venus, Uranus in your second house. I'm going to do Taurus after this on my video chat. I'm excited. So that's like romance, but also finances, some sort of breakthrough in your finances, ending of a debt. And it really makes like some sort of career thing opens up. I mean, you've got Saturn at this full moon making a really nice sextile to Uranus. I forgot to add that on the whole deal. I mean, there's some good news on this full moon. I'm leaning that things that we've done a lot of healing and that we see the results of all our hard work and karma. I'm going to lean on that. So there's some really nice results opening up for Taurus. And this full moon is, like I say, in your ninth house, but you are doing a little bit more karma clearing with that Saturn and now Taurans are fixed energies and their securities. They're little stuck in their ways, you could say, you know. So with Aries in that 12th house, they're being that Saturn in their 12th house. It's sort of like a nice way of handling Taurans. Like for the next 2.5 years, we're going to be gentle with you, but we're really going to get this thing out by the roots. This issue you have about not being spontaneous more. So there's going to be more general confidence to be spontaneous and to take leaps and to just do things on the fly. And then, and then you're going to have in, a 3 years, you're going to have Jupiter in your Saturn in your first house. So you're being cleared of some sort of blockages that you have stopping you from being really on your dharmic path. But we all are. But for Taurans, they're going to really see it because when Saturn hits their first house, they're going to really mature into that position. They're really going to fully embody that. So what else? Third house, we have that Jupiter where I know some Taurus risings who are having quite a bit of so that she's opening new businesses, new word of mouth around local people, new neighbors. It could be a location change. Did we get moving here in your fourth? Not so much. You've got Leo there, but busyness and expansion of your dharma through media and writing or communication and people that are around you on a day-to-day, like through neighbors, siblings, work-related people that are servicing you, people that you
Well,
know. Yeah.
sorry, I
Go ahead.
thought you were done. Well, I was just going to say, because you were talking before about talents, and this
Yes.
particular flower, the banana yucca, let me tip it so you can see it better, actually shows you helps you unlock or uncover your hidden talents, your secret potential.
The third house is skills. That's another word. Keep
There
going,
you
Sam.
go. There you
Nice.
go. And
Nice.
this reminds me a lot of, we're kind of following a similar energy to the jasmine as well. But this also is it's reminding you, not reminding you, it's basically it's a portal to moving through things with unexpected leaps and bounds. So making progress towards your goals, which I really love in this moon cycle energy. That Capricorn is like you're focused in. It may not be completely clear, but maybe enough where at least you know how to, that you're moving forward in some way. And then the banana yucca is going to let you really just like go. You'll be able to really make some progress beyond what your mind thinks you can do. So we have the banana yucca for Taurus. Was there something else you wanted to say about that, Madeline?
Well, I always try to say one thing for Taurus with that banana yucca. Let's see, how can I connect it with their let's see. Again, it's with Saturn in your 12th house, there's some sort of transformation where you become less materially attached and less sort of needing a material security and more releasing to more spiritual focus.
And
Something like that.
this is kind of like reaching towards the heavens in a way,
Yeah.
the way this
Yeah.
flower is.
Away from the green, which is the material, that South
Yeah.
Node in Virgo.
Yeah. Very interesting. All right. Gemini.
Gemini. So you guys are going to have this in your 8th house. So this is, I find full moon is in the 8th house a bit freaky, but they do
Hard.
transfer you. Oh,
They
full moon in the
transform you.
8th.
Yes.
Yes, they do transform you, and they can reveal some financial karmic problems. And again, there may have been a debt or some sort of a way that you may have wanted to skirt taxes or something, and it comes back and it slaps you, or some kind of a karmic energetic problem can show up around your finances. But again, it's to clear your energy around money. And but again, this is always to help course correct. So you're being given 5 months to course correct whatever you're doing with your finance. It can't just be that you're afraid to, maybe I know you made an investment, and this full moon reveals the big fruits of reward from this investment. And that, you are clearing a karmic lack energy when you made that investment. Negativity, and now you put faith in it, and it reveals some really nice outcome. Or this full moon can reveal that you've been too afraid and that you should have made an investment, but you were too afraid to make the risk, and now you regret it. Now this is also full moon in relationships. There could be a conjoining of resources and putting together your joint assets and making investments together. Full moon, you decide what you've got in your fourth house? Mars, Virgo there. So maybe you decide you want to buy a house and you got to refinance or something, or buy or sell property and real estate. And then Jupiter is in your second house. So you're having these big financial, new, expansive starts in your earnings, creating financial stability. It can increase expenses. So if there is an expense increase in this full moon, I'm going with it's okay. Like, it'll bring you reward. Again, maybe that's showing you not to be afraid. An expense could show up and you're freaked out, and you do it. It's interesting. I lent someone money yesterday, and I was like, ooh, is it going to be okay? Because I have to pay my rent too. So I was like, but then I just said, no, I'm just going to take the risk. I'm just going to trust, and it's all okay. And it's like, I found out it was totally fine. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we're overcoming these sort of, I'm more leaning when I make the choices that my situation is lack than when I make it to when I'm leaning that I'm already in abundance. Do you get what I'm saying? Did I block out there? Did that come through? So in other words, you're making a choice based on the opinion that you have lack. And I'm like, or am I making a choice on the assumption or the knowledge or the belief or the energetic frequency of that I'm abundant? So that's like an eighth house lesson. And if you're operating in the full moon might give you some trouble.
Well, I feel like this flower touches in on what you're saying.
Okay.
Maybe a slightly different energy than like the fear sort of thing. Um,
Mhm.
but it does feel like one of those can potentially be like the shadowy place of the eighth house, and that or the covered up place of anger. So we have the red penstemon, and like I was saying before, some flowers don't go upward. This one's pointing kind of sideways and down. So this to me is revealing, okay, this is about an internal job. Like, we're going within, we're accessing this like Madeline was talking about. Or maybe it's the anger could be, it doesn't have to be fiery rageful anger, but it could be this feeling of discomfort or
Yeah.
disharmony or misalignment in some way. So this flower alchemizes that, and I feel like that's what this moon cycle is doing for Gemini. It's alchemizing those feelings so that you can move into what it is that is truly aligned for you, which is what I think you were saying, Madeline.
Yeah.
And using that, the emotional energy that might come up during this moon cycle, to help you move through that,
Yeah.
and based on what's possible versus what you're fearful of. Just a slight shift in the energy. So the red penstemon for Gemini.
Yes. And your ruling planet is going to go retrograde this month. So, you're going to course correct some issues involving some of these money or finances, or your beliefs or your opinions as well, your
Mhm.
fears. And Saturn retrograde in your 11th house, people are coming in from the past that are word of mouth, that are going to assist in sustaining you for a long time financially. Success will come through relationships and media projects and interacting on with the collective and being out there in the world and word of mouth people coming into your life.
That's lovely. All
Yeah.
right. Cancer. Don't forget the card either,
Cancer.
Madeline.
Okay, thanks for reminding me. Yes, yes, I need that. Okay, so Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising. I really set the chart to your rising sign, so I work on that. But if you have your moon on a full moon in Cancer, it was absolutely aligns with that, of course. So for Cancer, we're going to have a big karma relationships from the past show up, and you're going to be aware of some sort of karmic patterning that is caused. It's like Cancers are going to suddenly see, oh, that I really took it wrong. I really saw something comes up from the past that reveals the truth that makes you realize you took everything completely wrong, or your karmic issues, your issues. You're going to see that was that quote I said, where things from the past show you the true face. I have a Cancer person texting me right now going through that, like saying, I see the truth about this person. Anyway, so yeah, let me get that chart back there. So yeah, so Cancers, and so what they're doing is they're realizing their part in the causing of karmic relationships and how they create karmic patterning in relationships, because that retrograde. And then obviously a lot of Cancers are going to go into soul contracted with divine mates, because this is course correcting their behavior in relationships or their karmic patterning so that they can go into soul contract. So they're getting something out of the way, and it may be triggery, it may be a reveal of some kind of, painful thing. But there's going to be a truth revealed with that full moon in your 7th house that shows you a truth about somebody. It could be actually really good. And don't forget, Neptune is on Saturn. A lot of what we think that's going on, I'm texting people all the time. It's not it's not how it seems. Trust me. So it's like but it's our karmic reaction can flare up because we assume it is what it is. We think something is with Neptune there that it isn't, and we react to it, and it shows our karmic reaction to it, and it's based on not a truth, not something we're not really seeing. We're just going there. We're just assuming that's happening again, right?
Our
So
minds can be very tricky in that way.
yes, and especially when Neptune is in on the story.
Yeah.
So you just want to hold suspension, suspend. There's a really great quote that I love. It's called "Condemnation without investigation is the height of stupidity." So to condemn a person or a thing or a situation or a belief without going in and investigating it yourself, it's the height of folly. This is a quote from,
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
So
and I feel like that's kind
what
of
Cancers are going to clear up here is that kind of a tendency to go to that condemnation without investigation in their relationships.
yeah.
So Jupiter in your 1st house, you're going to have Venus in your 1st house, Jupiter, Venus conjoining. I have so much to talk about. I'm going to go into this on my YouTube channel, but Venus and Jupiter in your 1st house, I mean, hello, that's just forget it. That's the best thing. That's like golden, good, just great, and good for relationships. I mean, it's just all good. I don't even know what word to use for it, but it's high blessings, very good blessings. So Cancers are basically, so they're starting some sort of new situation in a relationship, contracted partners with client. It can also be clients and work-related business relationships that you're operating in a fear-based attachment with. It's any kind of a relationship. Venus is agreements. It's basically revealing how we karmically make agreements that throw ourselves under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, giving, that's usually going to be for Cancer because they're holding on to the relationship. Also, Cancers are going to wake up to how they create a narcissist. A lot of Cancers have narcissists, the empath narcissist. All these Cancer people are like victims to the narcissist. It's like, oh, sorry, wrong way, other way around. You put the narcissist on a pedestal and you didn't set any boundaries. You created a narcissist in your life, and you're going to do it again in the next person. Go ahead, blame the narcissist. Watch, you'll see. You'll get another one.
But you can shift that. That doesn't
Yeah.
have to continue to be your story either.
And then you discover the person you thought was a narcissist isn't really a narcissist. It was that you just created that dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
made them too important. So they got really, inflated egos.
Yeah.
So we're waking up to all of this, how we create our own experiences. That's what Saturn wants to do in retrograde. So we can course correct and take actions, because we're making actions from an internal source that's uh, skewed. So it creates unaligned actions that we don't want. Results. So this retrograde, we're going back, and also maybe the relationships that are coming back from the past with Mercury retrograde, Saturn ruling our seventh house, they may come in and course correct their karmic disrespectful behavior or how they treated you.
It works both ways. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So we're course correcting both ways. And then what happens? We go forward onto some grand mission, the new beginning of big new careers for Cancer. You got Jupiter in your first house and you got Saturn in your 10th. They're not going to square again for a year, but energetically that's a square. But it does really mean that the Cancer's careers on the whole are taking some sort of big shift, restructuring a whole new. It's like a new platform is being built for the Cancers that again, that dharmic path and the way that you're executing your dharma will become more and more clear. And as Neptune and Saturn separate next year, but you're getting onto that structure of a new career that's really aligning you for this long haul. And it's most likely involving a partner.
Mm, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we go. We've got night blooming Sirius for Cancer. And this flower, first of all, it does bloom in the night. So this
Oh,
is one of those flowers where there's a deeper understanding of your shadow side. And that shadow side, or the illusions that you've been living in, are going to be noted right now, let's just say. So the night blooming Sirius says it's time to take a leap, be fearless. And it's a realization of some gifts that you may have, or maybe a realization of when we're thinking about the seventh house, like the gift of a relationship, the gift of what you learned from that relationship. It has a huge support of taking leaps in your personal growth. So this is definitely a big time personal growth cycle
yeah.
for Cancer. So the night blooming Sirius would be a great support for you right now.
I think we're looking like karma's kind of cleared up here, but we'll see. I don't want to
Well,
get
and
too excited about it, but it looks pretty clear.
there's like this beautiful, very empowered energy in the center of this with that
A
yellow,
little bit of darkness right there.
just a little, but it's mostly green. So like heart based, it
Yeah.
might just be like clearing up some of that wound
Well,
of the
that's
heart.
poison that this thing I'm studying about Saturn pulls the poison out, is pulling that toxic poison out.
Yeah, it is. Clearing things up. Okay.
Leo.
Leo.
Where is it going to hit for Leo? Leo. In the first house, let's see, we've got Saturn in your ninth, and then we're going to have this full moon in your sixth. So the sixth house is a challenging full moon, really. The eighth and the eighth and the sixth and the 12th. Sorry, so sometimes I think those are sort of considered the hardest houses. So there could be a reveal that someone's an enemy and that you've been hanging out with people that aren't good for you and you discover that someone's not really your friend. That could happen, and that they're actually working against you. That could be a tough one. And then you discover that you're compromising yourself for these friendships, and that they're really not your friends, that kind of an energy, or you're letting go of a way of service that you were being of service just because you thought that would be a good way that makes you money. That's a good way to be of service. And you realize I was just doing it because I thought I was supposed to be of service, but it's not really my dharma. So that's sort of a karmic, or you're clearing a karmic pattern of being super, super busy and it makes you feel like you're getting somewhere and it's not. So basically sixth house issues are being sort of revealed. Health, habits that you have, day-to-day habits. Mars, South Node Virgo, you're going to be letting go of some of these day-to-day habits. So this full moon could reveal some sort of eating problems with Mars being in your second house. Food problems or eating problems that are habits that are karmic and that are causing you harm. Day-to-day routines that are not good for you. Patterns of operating and work that are stressful, not good for you. So then we're going to go more spiritual, because you're going to clear that karma about how you operate on a day-to-day that isn't on your, that's more sabotaging, okay? So then we get to, and especially since the sun is in your 12th house, which is the house of self-sabotage. So we're revealing self-sabotaging tendencies and clearing that so that one, you're going to be way healthier and you're going to course correct some of these behaviors and these day-to-day routines. And then what does that do? That opens you up for some sort of big download, because that North Node is in your 8th house, a big spiritual guidance and clarity coming in that sets you on a real nice, pure, clean slate on your career in that 7th house in your that Saturn in your 9th house, sending you on some sort of spiritual mission to be a leader and to expand knowledge of, or your Dharma. So the 9th house can be like your true Dharma or your spiritual practice. Because I had a lot, when I have Pisces over my 9th. So every time I get those transits there, I discover one of my spiritual gifts, like tarot reading or astrology. But that's not for everybody. It just means your Dharma. It could be to create a spiritual retreat or a place to entertain people and have music that's really more spiritually healing music or something. But it's some sort of Dharma activation with that Saturn there, and you're restructuring your life. And by the way, a full moon in your 6th house will restructure your routine. Some sort of big dharmic mission comes in. I remember full moons like that. They really shift your day-to-day routine forever. Like for instance, you get invited to do a podcast and express your knowledge and what you do, or it's an invitation, and then that's going to happen every day at 9 o'clock. You have to show up there, or some kind of a email has to be, or something that suddenly your day-to-day activities to put you on your Dharma are going to change. And so, and then Uranus, I haven't been going into Uranus. We got a lot to talk about, but Jupiter, let's go to Jupiter out of combustion in your 12th house. So you've definitely got chances of travel, and the North Node is in your 8th. Wow. It's like, it's a very much spiritual liberating full moon for you, where you do break out of some sort of spiritual rigidity or spiritual, gosh, moksha liberation there. It's going to be around money. I think you relax around money. I think the money thing has been throwing Leos into operating in ways that were out of alignment and stress-based, because they were doing it more for financial security or fear-based survival choices. That's where I'm kind of thinking for Leo. So there's like a relief of that. And then some really beautiful financially abundant destiny opens up for you. I mean, that's where all of this is going. We're all being made to be more stable. So, yeah, so this is like, a full moon there is going to liberate you from some sort of stressful way of operating or living that's going to be way more authentic and in alignment with your Dharma. And it's been blocking your Dharma because you're putting your energy in something that's not aligned with your Dharma. That's what it looks like.
Well, we've got the wild hawkweed, which to me is like screaming Leo right here with this
Wow.
energy of the
First red
oranges and
card.
the reds and the
Yeah.
yellows. Okay, so the wild hawkweed is a flower of self-sufficiency. It is a reminder that all that you need is within yourself. It's like almost like falling in love with yourself in a whole new way. You no longer crave love from the outside. I know a lot of Leos, like we like to be the center of attention and the spotlight, and we just love love. It's really being able to access that sense of love within ourselves and cut through. And I think this really speaks to the 6th house. Cut through any non-beneficial wanting or desires. Now, when I think about this in 6th house, it could potentially be food related. It could be like some sort of activity that isn't benefiting your health and your wellness. And it just reminds you to just really just be in love with yourself. We tend to gravitate towards things like certain habits and patterns when it comes to behaviors or food, things like that, that are filling this void of connection and love that is missing within us. This is a reminder that you don't need to do that. There's an infinite amount of love and abundance that resides within you. You don't need to reach for something else or look to someone else to fill this perceived void, because you're whole as you are. So the wild hawkweed is a great reminder of that.
Yeah, it's interesting because that really does that. That's that Leo energy. And I have a feeling because Leo has Capricorn over their sixth house that they create karma by being too fired up about something. And they go into a blind spot, Virgo, where they forget about themselves and,
Hmm.
they get too fired up about stuff.
Yeah, that's quite possible too. Yeah, lots of different ways
Maybe.
to approach it.
Yeah.
So, okay, Virgo,
Yeah, Virgo, you guys are going to have a big transit here coming up. You're going to have the South Node right on Mars.
Madeline, card.
Ah, the Aries Saturn is getting me on my horsey, galloping too fast. Virgo. Yeah. Okay, Virgo in your first house. You have a big mega transit. I'll talk about it in your video. It's the South Node. So big things happening for Virgo. First of all, the eclipses are hitting in the Virgo Pisces axis. So you're really letting go of a whole version of yourself, an inauthentic version of yourself, a version of yourself that's busy, busy, busy for no reason, a version of yourself that's controlling, a version of yourself that's nitpicky, critical, a version. So all of that's going to change. So Virgos are going through a big shift, a big change in their personality even, but they're becoming more ascended as that Jinky was. This is all about ascension, all of this. It's to ascend into and let go and let flow and stop trying to control situations that's preventing you and blocking you from your dharma, because Virgos are probably the most controlling sign and that's the most blocking of dharmic actions. Being controlling blocks your dharma because you're not making spiritually guided choices. You're making ego-based choices. And we were just talking about that with my notes about this thing about the ego. What did I say? Let the ego go. So I want to bring that back up. Ego. What did I say about the ego? Gosh. Anyway, so it's purifying ego and control. So that's going to be how this full moon plays out for Virgo. How well have you done in the South Node ecliptical? We're already halfway through that. We're going to have 2 more eclipses there, Pisces, Virgo here in September. So how are you doing in your progress of letting go and letting relationships or letting things be? And so this full moon is in your 5th house. So that's a really nice full moon. You're going to have a lot of fun, meet a new relationship, a friendship from the past, because don't forget Saturn's going retrograde. Where does Saturn retrograde? Aries in your 8th house, a relationship from the past. Financial co-collaborative perhaps from the past in a relationship. And there's some sort of now a friendship could flare up and it becomes seen that it's a karmic relationship and it ends, or you get some sort of a friend from the past comes up, a person from the past that's a friend that then turns into a serious relationship. And then you have karma over your 5th. Saturn rules your 5th. So this full moon is over the house that Saturn rules for everybody, right? So then you've got some sort of reveal the true face of a friend that isn't a friend, or reveal the true face of a friend that is a friend. Reveal it, something from the past shows up and reveals something about it. And so friends from the past show back up that are real, and friends or they dissolve. But on the whole, there's a brand new creative co-collaborative venture showing up, a creative project showing up that's really exciting and inspiring for Virgo. And this full moon's is kind of trining it is trining the nodes, obviously, and the nodes in the South Node, and the north node is in your 7th. So there's definitely some sort of the results of having done a lot of this work is now going to bring forward, I would consider, your soul contract and divine partner that you now go into soul mission with. But you had to course correct at some sort of energies around your relationships, karmic in controlling, shall we say, attachment issues over relationships. But that's going to clear up here. And now as a result, you're able to form a you're able to form, now you're cleared that, and you're able to align with the a real close partnership, because you're letting go of that control issue. So now it lets you go into your dharma, because when we let go of control, we're open, we surrender, and then our dharma can start to play out. It can start to, it moves us rather than we're not controlling our life. Our dharma will move us by we let go to the flow. That's the North Node in Pisces.
So we have the yarrow. Let me tip it so you can see it better for Virgo. When I look at this flower, this to me speaks of opportunities, like the fifth house projects, all these opportunities that you have for these different places to put your creative talents. And the yarrow is a flower that's really great for digital detoxing. So Virgos may spend a lot of time in front of a computer, in front of a screen, working on things. It's like it can be very draining for them. They're an earth sign. They really need to have more of that earthly connection, not just sitting in front of a screen. So it's a reminder to get away from the screen, to take a little bit of a digital detox, and then be able to access your body's natural vitality, which to me is very Virgo in nature. And that will allow you the energy to work on creative projects, or maybe be open to a potential romantic dalliance with someone with that fifth house activation. And you'll have the clarity of your mind and your energy from this time period in order for you to really do that in a way that lines up, like Madeline was saying, with your dharma, not just the bigger purpose, but it could be also in the connection with another person or a project. So I love the yarrow, and it's this beautiful white flower too. So anyway, go ahead. Matt, what were you going to say, Madeline?
Yeah, well, for Virgos that are in their current relationships, they could have a pregnancy, they could have a baby, right? And a creative project. The fifth house is something now happens where there was nothing, like something appears out of nowhere. And then it aspects that seventh house. Jupiter rules your seventh house. So your marriage transforms and changes shape and becomes more aligned with some sort of co-collaborative venture, creative project, like a pregnancy.
Yeah, so be careful, Virgos.
Yeah.
All right. Libra, good job. You remember the card.
What?
I said, good job. You remembered the card.
I don't know how I did it. So Libras, I feel like I didn't do it long enough though. Libras are probably getting married. If you're single Libra, you're getting married. Da, 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 da. Ding dong, ding dong. Sometimes I do readings and all I can say is I hear the bells. Ding dong, ding dong.
Oh,
yeah. When I do readings where people are about to get married, it happens. So anyway, Libra have the Saturn on their first in their seventh house of relationships. So either it depends. If you haven't cleared your karma in relationships, because you're going to have Saturn over your fourth, we're going to talk about that here. You would block your relationship and you don't get a relationship till you change your ways. That's one way. If you're in a relationship, structurally your relationship changes, something big transits and changes in your relationship, and you end karmic patterning in these relationships, even in your current relationship. If you're not in a relationship, most likely somebody from your past is coming back and you're going to get very serious and commit with them because you had karmic baggage to clear up, because you have Capricorn over your fourth house. So you've got some sort of karmic with your mother. It's resolved, some sort of karmic redeemed, karmics around family, living property. Full moon will reveal where you're really supposed to live. You suddenly now see where it is you're supposed to live, the person you're supposed to live with, marriage, home. I mean, this is a cardinal new full moon. Everything changes. Career, Cancer, the sun is in your 10th house. You're seeing your true purpose. You're seeing who you're supposed to be married with. You're seeing the right ways. It's all going to happen here on this full moon. Brand new beginnings, 0 degrees, all these planets, the Fool card shows up. And then we get that sort of clearing of the karma that you're clearing is making families and making homes and making everything, trying to stabilize without it being the right person or the right home. So creating false structures, false foundations, false families, false, things that aren't like somebody asked me, what's my dharma with my chart? And I said, it's because your dharma, you're ruled by Venus. So your dharma is going to be getting into relationships that you are in love with, getting into
Mhm.
family situations that you're just trying to, you karmic, when we do karmic stuff, we just decide in our head and on our ego that this is going to be a family. We're going to shape it this way. And this is going to be the person. But it's like, sorry, Charlie, they're not in the energy field of your dharma. It's not in the flow of your dharma. So you're clearing this ego control that you did to try to create a certain environment, certain family, certain home with situations and people that weren't really your home. Not in the heart. It's got to be in the heart. So Jupiter rules. What does Jupiter rule? Jupiter rules your third house. So media projects opening up, creative, co-collaborative ventures. Absolutely. Oh, sorry, Jupiter's in your 10th house. Wow. So yeah. Sorry. Yes. Yes. So, and it's in the sign of Cancer. So you've got some sort of big new mission connected with your soul purpose, with a contracted partner, a contracted relationship. Probably going to last 29 years. Relationship you start now. So if you have commitment problems, this retrograde might show that up. And the retrograde may show up the karmic issues from a relationship from the past, because Saturn's in retrograde, Mercury's going to be in retrograde, that have to be ironed out and resolved and fixed and hashed out in order for the relationship to continue, which will happen. It will happen.
Well,
Yep.
we have the trumpet vine. If this is not, it's just like,
Oh,
hello, we're ready here.
romantic. Yeah.
So trumpet vine, whenever I see this flower, it reminds me of like a megaphone, like you're like speaking through
Mhm.
and it's like really, really wanting to communicate something loud and clear. Well, the trumpet vine gives Librans an opportunity for effortless free speech, like to really free their voices. And I feel like this is really important for them right now because they can have easier discussions related to their feelings. We're talking about this, the moon is in Capricorn, but the sun is in Cancer, and it's very emotional. So easier discussions to share feelings, and that could lead to deeper connections within relationship. And then also effortless communication when it comes to difficult conversation. So Librans want to keep the peace, keep the balance, not rock the boat in relationships. So however, they're being called now to really step into themselves, that's that Cancerian energy. So being able to have a conversation around something that's emotional and being able to do it. Remember, like this flower is like this megaphone of being able to speak clearly. So I love the trumpet vine for Libra.
Yeah, and it does inspire me to see that, because the eclipses last year were Aries, Libra, and Libras were becoming more selfish, and that's kind of a red color. So the Libras are more balanced into being more selfish, which is actually they're creating karma. Libras, by over accommodating their relationships, that creates karma.
So now there's more of a balance, which is
Yeah, that's great.
great. Great. Okay, Scorpio.
Scorpio, ruled by Mars, Mars in Virgo in the South Node. Yikes. It'll be okay, but it's going to be, that's a big transit. So let's take a look here. So Capricorn hits your third house. So again, a lot of Scorpios are having, they have a communication karma, which is how they think, what they say, how they speak, how they operate in communication and communion, basically in a way that is karmic creating, poisonous, toxic. So there's going to be a revelation with that full moon there of how you operate in community or in communication in yourself too, how you internally communicate to yourself in ways that are toxic and cause karma. Like, I'm going to give you an example. Somebody I work with, every time they get in an argument, communication, right? Third house, he says, well, it's over. Every time they get in an argument, he goes, that's it, it's over.
Oh, that's
That's
really
like,
upsetting.
yeah, so that's like bad karma. You're creating bad toxin in the communication. So I'm just using that as an example, that behavioral karmic behavior through communication that's toxic. So that's going to be revealed, but it's also going to be cleared. You know, we really are clearing these energies. That's what the full moon is revealing to us. Saturn in retrograde wants us to course correct this so that we can have a successful relationship. And Scorpios are ruled not just relation one-on-one. We're talking in general in your life. This is communication all the way around. So, and then we've got this, so yeah, Mars Virgo energy. Where's that? Oh, your 11th house. So you may suddenly let go of an entire social media platform. Like for instance, you suddenly decide you want to call your social media platform something completely different.
Hmm.
Or you decide to let go of an entire, like, you could let go of a whole, why am I this is sad? You could let go of a certain way that you're being on social media, trying to be too perfect or trying to control it more. So there's that, and you're going way more flow. So there's something, and or you could let go of a whole tribe group that are toxic, that are not healthy for you. But basically you're, or you know what, oftentimes South Node Mars is opening up a past life gift. I always forget that a spiritual gift could open up for many Scorpios. Scorpios are very intuitive and psychic anyway, so the past life gift opens up. But that full moon in your third house is media, communication. So your hard work on a media or on social media could really bring you some nice results finally after a lot. Remember, this full moon is Capricorn is a result of hard work. What was it that I said at the beginning? I need to bring that back up. It's long-term goals, gains achieved from hard work, from a long time, unwavering determination. You know, we're going to get achievement and from various endeavors that we've been strength, that we've had durability and unwavering determination. And so it's like victory for third house media stuff for Scorpio, I would think. But also just the learning of their own internal dialogue and how they create karma with themselves, with their own opinions, their own thinking. And methods of communication that don't create harmony, that create disharmony.
You know what I find so funny is that
Yeah.
we have this flower, the rain lily
Oh,
for
wow.
Scorpio. And this flower blooms after it rains
Hmm.
and then dies shortly after. And I
Oh.
feel like Scorpio is a lot like that. You know, it is the sign of death and rebirth. And
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
often comes after something that may feel very challenging or uncomfortable or cleansing and purifying, but may not feel like it at the time.
Hmm.
So I find this really appropriate for Scorpio for this moon cycle. And this also is telling us that there may be negative events that happen in your life, and these negative events are steering you towards something that's of benefit to yourself and others. Even though you may not see it, that's what's happening. And it's giving Scorpios an opportunity to grow beyond what they could have imagined and flourish in a way that they haven't been able to before. And when I think about the life cycle of a rain lily, it's very obviously very short, but how much energy and effort was happening beneath the surface to have that flower pop out and bloom so quickly during a rainstorm and then die off so quickly too. Like the both of those require a lot of energy that may not be overtly seen. So I also feel like another little asterisk to this is that self-care, self-nurturing energy of Cancer, of really taking extra care of
Hmm.
yourself. And
Well,
that may be too, when we've got the third house here, it could be really getting to know your neighborhood better, taking walks, go to the park right down the street, or in my case, I'm thinking, okay, I'm right here by the beach. I look at the water, but I'm not going down there very often, really like putting my butt in the sand, taking a walk, feeling that grounding of the earth. So
right.
um yeah, the rain lily.
Yep. Well, that's interesting because Mars is in Virgo and Virgo, Scorpio ruled by Mars Virgo is purifying. So that's very purifying energy for
Yes.
Scorpio, and Aries are also purifying karma. So the karma basically that Scorpio are purifying is third house.
Communication,
Yeah. Media,
neighborhood, short media.
neighborhood,
Okay.
short distance travel.
Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. All right.
All right. So now we're going to go to Sagittarius.
Sagittarius.
Jupiter ruled people. Wow. I have to say that I'm a little bit excited because I'm Cancer rising and Jupiter's in my sign. My Pisces is Jupiter ruled moon and my sun is ruled by Jupiter. So I've got a really good stuff happening here. So I'm excited about that. But Sagittarians are in a really good situation because their ruling planet is in the sign of Cancer. So it's very expansive energy for Saggies. So let's take a look and see what house Capricorn falls for Sagittarius. It most likely is your isn't it your 12th? Is it your second? I always get, yeah. It's in your second house. So some way of making, you may end up, see, this is interesting because Cancer, who am I on? Sagittarius. Where's Aries? Where's Saturn? Fifth house. So something is changing in the life of Sagittarians because Jupiter is reborn and is coming out of Cazimi now and is coming out of combustion and is coming out of the square with Saturn. So now it's go time. It's the path is cleared for you to go and expand some major creative project and co-collaborative or relationship because you have Capricorn over your fifth. Am I correct? And I'm sorry, Aries is over your fifth, Capricorn over your second. So some sort of creative, because you got Saturn there. So a relationship from the past, creative project from the past, an entrepreneurial venture from the past, writing creative projects. Second house can often be very creative too. It's a Venus artistic house ruled by Venus. It's a Taurus house. Now brings in you financial reward and benefit. Full moon. Now, again, you might suddenly see that you've been out of alignment karmically, chasing a stability financially in a slightly skewed direction that isn't quite aligned with your dharma. But now you're like, wow, this is my dharma. This is what I'm supposed to do. And you also become aware of a karmic way of operating that you've been operating to try to make your finances secure because you thought that's the way you needed to do it. And so now it only just sent you into a toxic spiral because it's fear-based decision and it's not it was more toxic for you. So now you're getting this really clear new idea, course correction of how you're going to earn your money. Saturn retrograde in the fifth house, and it's going to involve some sort of creative project from someone from the past. I've got this really annoying hose washer guy outside. I gotta go shut my window.
Well, we can't hear it on the
Oh my God. And then
which is
this
good.
guy does it all day long.
Oh, geez.
So Saturn in retrograde in your fifth. Now you could, of course, have a child, but pregnancy, we're always going to be talking about that because Jupiter in Cancer is about babies, lots of little babies. So anyway, so that's always something to be considered. It could happen. Sagittarians could have children, but basically their life is going to be, they're going to be discovering friends that aren't real with Saturn in your fifth in retrograde, and you're going to see the true faces, and you're going to see the friends that are real, and then you're going to align in some sort of creative venture project with some sort of past project or friend from the past or connection from the past. Now, if you're married and in a relationship, of course, the relationship could come into this. If you're already married, then a project that you're both supposed to collaborate on together comes into the realm of your reality. And then you're probably with that South Node, Mars in your 10th house, there's a good chance you're really releasing an old career. You're really ending an old identity completely. God, I wonder how that's going to play out for me. Anyway, so it's like, because you've got your South Node and Mars. So there's some sort of I'm thinking of my son a lot because he was sort of really working hard on his career in a certain direction. And I always could tell it wasn't really a dharmic alignment for him. But it's like he worked so hard in it. He has got Capricorn planets too. And he really pushed it. It just isn't really the right direction. So you're kind of really dumping something. You're forgetting that way of doing it and just not doing it that way anymore. And now you go into a new, more aligned dharmically path. And with a full moon in your second house, clearing that karma, you've got the doors are going to open up for your abundance to come in. and that you really were blocking your abundance. They maybe Sagittarius become aware of how they've been blocking their abundance, because Sagittarius have a lot of karma over their second house. I'm not so impacted by that, but my ex-husband is Sagittarius, Sagittarius sun, Sagittarius moon, my son is, and I can definitely see I'm constantly lending them money.
Mm.
I have Saturn in my 8th house, which literally means everyone in my family comes to me to make money, or to borrow money, which I'm glad about, because then that means I'm always okay. So that's good. And also, and it also says in my chart that I should do it. Like I should help.
Oh, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. So Saturn in your eighth show is like people come to you. Is it specifically about money or like come to you for whatever, like maybe wisdom, for
Finance.
guidance, or it's all money related?
Yep. And I
Okay.
lend money to my family. And it's crazy because I'm not super rich. I mean, I'm pretty strong. I feel very financially independent. I guess you could say I'm in a comfortable position, but I can establish that, whereas they seem to not be able to do that. I
Uh-huh.
think my ex-husband earns way more money than me, but for some reason, I'm the one, I can create some sort of stability here. So yeah, and it keeps, and I just lent him money yesterday. So the
Uh-huh.
point is, that's
Yeah.
what I had earlier. Remember, I was a bit freaked out about it. I was like, should I do it? But when I study my Saturn in my 8th, it causes good for me, because that stops me from being fear-based attached to money. And I have to learn how to do that.
Hmm.
So, and that creates a better result in my life. The more I give and generous with money, the better I receive. Absolutely. And I see it happen. That's why I try to do that. So, where was I?
Well, you were, I mean, I feel like you kind of covered Saturn pretty well.
Sagittarius. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
you're
mean, Sagittarius about talking
yes,
about,
yes.
yeah,
Okay,
Saturn
good.
more.
And Jupiter's in your 8th, so you're expanding your debt, but if so, it's going to go for somewhere good, or you're getting some sort of financial windfalls. But call me for a reading. I'll go more depth on that if you like. I'll do a report on my YouTube channel more about that.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, Madeline is doing these in-depth reports for the month for every sign, but she's learning how to take care of herself and also others at the same time. And it's taking a
Yes.
little time to get them up. So
And also, I'm going to confess, though, I am the least disciplined of all the zodiac signs. All my Cancers, water are the least disciplined, and then the third least disciplined is Sagittarius, because they were always outside doing some sort of outdoor activity.
okay, well,
So anyway, I'm just saying that's part of the problem. I'll be honest, but I'm going to get to it today. I'm going to do a bunch of them today.
okay, great. We're looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah.
Now we have the moringa flower. This is actually a flower that I worked with last month, the flower essence for the moringa flower. You're going to love this, Madeline. Fearless
Yeah.
devotion to your vision and
Mhm.
reclamation of what is yours. Your son will also like this as well. So this is now no longer sidestepping your own needs, having more of the bigger picture vision. And this is a reminder though to pause in order to realign to your greatest potential, whatever that may be for you. And your greatest potential may not be what you thought it was. It may
Yeah.
be shifting right now. So this is where discernment comes in. So using your discernment, clarity of intention, and your intention could be connected with your dharma, like we talked about earlier, and then really focus on a thriving vision, Capricorn. What are your goals? What are you reaching toward? And when I worked with this last month, it was also connected with the elixir, I'm sorry, the mist joy juice. So bringing in the joy,
I remember that. Yeah.
finding those little places of joy. So that I think is part of the remedy for Sagittarians is, really tapping into the joy, that playfulness. So I love, Madeline, for you, when you get out on your board and you're really out and connecting with nature,
Yep.
there's inspiration that comes from that, and that can really help realign you with that vision. So to me, it seems like you're right on the money, right on point.
Yes. I mean, it's so magical. I sit out in the lake and I stand up on my board and I like, I get as far out into the lake, that's kind of safe. You shouldn't go too far out on a board. But anyway, I go, and all I can see is the water of the lake. And I stand there with my paddle, and I just stand there like this. And it's just me on my board. And all I see is the mountain, the lakes. And I'm just going, woo, bobbling up around in the water. I mean, I just feel so like in a magical place, So yeah, it really is my meditation, being in the water and all of that. And I had a thought there for Sagittarians, because this is a your dharma really opens up here too in this full moon again, but that's a repeat message. But I forgot what I was going to say, darn it.
Well, maybe it'll come back.
Yeah,
So, well, here we are. We're talking about Capricorn. Marita is on, and she's a Capricorn
hey,
rising, I believe. So pay attention if you're still here. This is
yep,
for all the Capricorns out there, particularly Capricorn rising, but Capricorn in general too. This is for you. Okay.
biggie,
Whew, big time.
big. Capricorns are ruled by Saturn, so your planet's going retrograde. So everything that I said about Saturn retrograde is really going to come in for Capricorn. You're going to really evaluate, redeem anything from the past. Capricorns are so, because they're so driven and such hard workers, and so they can really trench into the karma. They're not bad. It's not that you're worse, but it's that's why the serpent is around the Capricorn energy, because you can get so motivated and driven that you create poison. So, it's to recourse correct that. Any kind of toxicity that was created in your actions from the past show up, but I think that this full moon reveals the new way to become clear on what that action was, or you become clear on. And so you're now able to course correct, because Saturn retrograde is our friend. A Saturn retrograde wants to help us to course correct so that we can be liberated from some sort of outcome that we are causing, that is causing our suffering. So let's see, Capricorn. Big full moon in your first house shows who you truly are, shows your true authentic version. You're gonna see a new version of who you are in the world. Like, you're gonna look different. You're gonna have a new, more authentic, no F's given vibe, that kind of a vibe. You're gonna wear the hat you want to wear and be the kind of person out there you want to be. And then you've got like Mars, your ruling planet, is making really positive aspects. It's in your fourth house, so you're reestablishing a new living home environment. Sometimes Saturn in the fourth can be pretty challenging. Your house needs repair or money or expenses, or it can be that you have to work hard at your property and redirect and fix things up, or just it can play out a lot of different ways. But anyway, it's some sort of coming home, to start to realigning your true, whether you get there in the year, I would say you find your true roots, your true home, and this full moon shows you what that is. And there's some sort of karmic blocking from that place being your true home. There you might have some sort of toxic remembrance, or there's some sort of family toxicity that played out, which you're clearing. And that helps you reveal where your true home is. You might have just decided it wasn't your home because it has a toxic memory or a relationship you wanted to get away from. And that wasn't, but it was your home. You got to go back. So it's like, again, cardinal shifts, everything changes for Capricorn, everything. They become more aware of how out of alignment they've been in their actions that have put them in the wrong career, wrong relationships, and wrong home. And now that's all going to get course corrected. And then with Mars in that North Node, Virgo, where's that? What house is Virgo for Capricorn? In your ninth house. So you really let go of some big radical belief that's causing you to create karmic patterns where you think you're always right. Capricorns have that problem. I know I have a lot of planets in Capricorn. I say that because but here's the other thing about Capricorns is they usually are right. Capricorns don't fight unless they're right. I know, because I have Capricorn Venus, Capricorn Mercury, Capricorn Mars. So
Wow.
we don't pick up that battle unless we know we're on strong ground. And that's the truth about Capricorns in general. But is it worth the fight? Is it worth it? Let it go. Let him be right vibe, and just drop it, vibes for Capricorn, and just sort of, okay, and then let go of trying to control. Capricorns are controlling. You see, I had control issues around mothering and parenting, and in my relationships, I've got issues.
We all have issues, Madeline.
Yeah. That's what the Capricorn planets were here to teach me. So full moon reveals your karmic patterns that you can now really course correct, reflecting on it. And you're seeing how you really caused a lot of your own suffering from your own actions, a repeat, which causes some sort of rigid belief that you weren't opening up for. There you go.
Well, this flower, it just, there's so many directions I can take with this for Capricorn because this is
Yeah.
such a big, a big full moon. I was looking at the chat here,
Mm-hmm.
and
Got some.
Natalie was chiming in because she's also Capricorn, and she was saying that she's like, but she was saying Capricorns are always right though, and
I
she
agree.
she says she can admit and say sorry as soon as she knows she's wrong, and I think that's really
Yep.
great. That shows
Mhm.
growth,
Yep.
and your ability to take a look at yourself. She also asked about what are good and fun things to do during this time for Capricorn full moon to help us be our best selves or help us become more in touch with our emotions and thoughts in a productive way. Well, I think honestly, the things you can do are the things that really are so connected to who you are as a person, the things that you love, like kind of like Madeline was saying. She loves being out on her board, going out onto the lake. I think doing more of the things that you love and that you enjoy that really inspire you, that make you feel yourself, make you feel like this is me, this is who I am. And we have this squash blossom. And again, this kind of reminds me of like a megaphone flower. And there's this openness to it. And we've got that orange of of that sacral chakra, that your own innate place of power and birthing something new. This is very connected to your sexual and sensual side and being able to express that. I don't know if that's necessarily an easy thing for Capricorns in general to do, to access that part of themselves. They're very much goal oriented, working hard. Sometimes though, it's really important to tap into that part of yourself that's like really connected to your body, that can move in a way that feels really good to you. That offers you a place of liberation. It's not so like, this has to be done. It's more like the sense of like, okay, I'm going to do it and I'm going to move in a way that's different, um, creating a feeling of liberation. So this is a time to feel a really strong sense of creative expression. And because it's in your first house, that could be in the way you express yourself in your clothing, how you are appearing to others. Maybe you typically wear, black and white, and now you're going to bring in a little orange or a color that's really truly expressive of who you are. This also opens up your imagination in a way that will inspire you to shift something in your life. Um, and that can show up in a lot of different ways. I would also recommend for everyone right now to pay attention to your dreams. There will be little hints and glimmers of information, and you don't need to have a real deep understanding of symbology. What I find has been true for me, and I mean, I have a course created about dreams that really helps support people who want to learn more about it. If you want to, send me a message if you're interested. But I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed for myself recently is when you journal about your dreams, where you just write down a little something about what you remember, write down how you feel. It is amazing what comes through where you're like, oh, wait a minute. That reminds me of this thing that happened, which is connected to this thing that's happening now, which is a pattern. Oh, I see what I'm being shown so that I shift this or change this in some way, which is liberating. So I really love this for for so many reasons, but for Capricorns right now too. It's just I really want you to hold on to that word liberation because that's such a big it's a big energy for you right now.
Yeah, because that Saturn is going retrograde to liberate you. But that card was the most aligned answer for that question that she had of any card I bet in the deck, because that is always the anecdote for Capricorn is creativity, fun, and play. So I think when
Aha.
she asked that question, that card came out because she wants. So what you're going to do for Capricorns is goof around, play, have fun, go on your paddleboard, I guess, like me.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
also goof around and have fun and have play and be silly, because Capricorns are too, look, I don't mean too serious, like critical. I mean, I have a lot of planets in Capricorn, so you just are, we spend a lot of time working hard and taking things very
Yeah.
seriously. So if you want to, in Vedic astrology, they think the fifth house, which is Leo, which is the color orange, is the Lakshmi house. And I see Capricorns, they activate their abundance and their luxury and their luck through creative projects.
Hey, listen, I know about
That was
Capricorn.
the perfect card. Yeah.
Yeah, Capricorn is my North Node is in Capricorn, so it's the direction I'm going. So I'm familiar with that energy, that feeling of like I've got to get it done. I got to be productive. If I'm not, I'm all about efficiency. Everything's got to be efficient. I
Right.
don't like this inefficient
Efficient.
thing. Pardon?
What degree is your North Node?
I don't remember. You
'Cause
would
it's
think I would know that. I have too many things in my brain right now.
probably hitting one of my planets in Capricorn, which is why
Oh,
we're doing this, why
we're still here. We're
yeah.
still doing it. Let's see what Natalie says here. So yeah, she used to try to do so much just to be productive or ignoring the problem, because if she sat down and just chilled, she wasn't sure how to just sit there and feel the anxiety. Now she sings. I love that. Singing,
Yeah.
expression. That's perfect. Creative expression. Singing is creative expression. Yeah,
Yes.
fantastic. Okay, Aquarius.
You guys are ruled by this Saturn planet of heaviness. So we're going to have it in your 12th house. So yeah, planet retrograde. You could go back to have to travel somewhere for the past. You have to go back and deal with something because Saturn's going to retrograde and you have to travel back somewhere. Aries, where does Aries hit your chart? Third house. So in some sort of the third house is also ideas and projects and businesses, and you've got Saturn there for 2.5 years. So when I had Saturn in my third house, I started a website. When you start a website, you're really starting a business. So it's like you're starting some project, some work related business project that is just starting, and it's most likely with media or communication. It could be a driver, that can also be something third house. But and then you've got this full moon in your 12th house, revealing some sort of past life trauma that's been stopping you from communicating freely or taking these ideas freely forward. And it's almost like you become aware of some sort of body triggered fear going through your body that activates it. And then you're like, wow, something happened in my past life that really freaked me out about communication or running a business or stepping out or standing out or being in my power, feeling really powerful. And then you're like, wow, that kind of rides through your body and it goes, that's the reason I'm stopping myself. There's this unrational fear that's stopping me from opening
Mm,
and flowing. And so
mm,
now the Aquarius is sort of like, okay, I gotta get over that and keep go. And then there's some sort of writing venture opens up, some sort of more gutsy, because don't forget Aries is like taking risk and being gutsy and going with it. So it's almost like Aquarians are getting over some sort of fear and having the guts and going and doing it. But it does show up, so your knees are rattling as you do it. You're gonna get, and but that's okay, because it's time. There's too much other things flowing in this direction, helping you initiate wherever Saturn is right now. The universe is going to collaborate with it and create that moment, because it's the most important planet, really, because it's how we ground reality. So everyone's going to line up with Saturn. And so your third house is like some sort of new business and creativity with Neptune there. And so you're getting over, because Neptune is also the 12th house. So it's like you're getting over some sort of deep illusion, because Neptune is an illusion. So we're breaking out of some delusional idea that you're not enough for your mission. That's a theme I get. And so this full moon, so you would have created karma through self-sabotaging, not believing in yourself, negative dialogue. Oh boy, do I have to set that straight with some of the, when I'm doing readings for some Aquarians, I'm like, that's negative, like that's be a little look at it from a different way, right? And so, so we're like, we're getting over ourselves and we're stepping into mission and we're getting over trying to what people think of us. Aquarius are here to learn to be their true authentic selves and get over, you know, no F given kind of vibe and not worry about what people think of them and be their wacky, what do they call Aquarians? Are usually oddballs. So
Mm.
like stop trying to not be an oddball.
Embrace your oddballness.
Yeah. And the Capricorn there is that control with that. And plus that Virgo Mars in your eighth, you're letting go of a fear of trying to control what people think of you and who you are and being perfect. And, you know, and now you're going to get out there with your hair messy and, you know, on some sort of media platform project. And that's your Dharma. So, and Jupiter is in your sixth house, restructuring your life so that you live healthier, day-to-day routine. Nose in your second. I'm going to go deeper on this on your report on my YouTube channel, but there is a new, with the eclipses in your second house, there is a financial shift with Mars. You may be letting go of some old financial way of earning money in these eclipses. So things are shifting for your finances and how you make them and how you're financially becoming stable. But it's going to be through this Saturn full moon in your third house, or that, sorry, in your 12th house, where you see the real way you're here to be. You're liberated by this full moon and you get over yourself and you now are able to take a journey forward in a very strong financially new beginning. That is your Dharma because that North Node being there. Did I put the
Well,
up?
you did. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Okay, we've got the red hibiscus. This is just like, bam, Aquarians, pay attention. This is important. You used almost this exact terminology a moment ago when you were talking about the way that they may fall into some negative perspectives, shifting the perspective. Well, this red hibiscus is all about that.
Oh.
Coming in to have a fresh perspective, hitting the refresh button on maybe their thoughts, maybe the way they're engaging with life, maybe how, what their mission is, what their dharma is, the clarity around that. This is a feeling or a sense of a new start, something that's opening up for them. And utilizing any emotional stress or challenge that they may have encountered to recognize how that situation is contributing to their personal growth. And I think this goes for everyone, but particularly for Aquarians who may not, they're learning how to deal with their emotional world because they're here to be the way showers, so they have some challenges that are put in front of them in order for them to learn and grow from them so they can support and guide others. So when something comes up that you find to be really gutting you, what is that happening for? What is the bigger picture that connects to a lesson that you can be learning? Or I don't really like the word lesson, the experience that you're having in order to expand and grow for yourself and then ultimately for others. And that comes back into that place of nurturing yourself and then being able to share that with others, Cancer, Capricorn. Yeah, so red hibiscus.
That does look like that Aries over there. Where does Aries cover for them? It's covering their third house. So it's like, get out there and
Communication.
step.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Last but
Oh,
always not least,
yes,
Pisces.
Pisces. I put their video up first this time, or one of the first times. So Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, Yahoo. Your Jupiter ruling planet is in a really good position. Then your other ruling planet is Neptune in retrograde, next to Saturn in retrograde, in your second house of financing. So yes, big new beginning in the way that you start earning your income, better self-esteem around your income. You're feeling more like a leader, like I can do this. Aries energy, but again, we've had blocks and delays, Saturn retrograde. You're reevaluating some of the low, you're going to discover how you've been low self-esteem and how it's been blocking your income. I mean, I'm a member of this female healing group or whatever. It's a women's kind of a group thing. And boy, when I was sort of helping a little bit, and every woman had something that they were going through, which reflected some sort of low self-esteem because it's a really big problem. So yeah, so Pisces tend to carry low, they tend to because they're so empathic. And Pisces have a problem with low self-esteem on the whole. They hide it well, but that's because they're not normal people in society. They don't operate as, they're not usually A types. So they're more Neptunian and foggy. They're supposed to be late. They're supposed to be, they're not supposed to be stressed. They're supposed to be, we're going to operate more like Pisces eventually, where people show up like whenever and flow and all this. So, but they get, people are mad at Pisces all the time. You're such a, that they're like, whoa, but they're just operating on this different vibe and this different flow. So the karma for the Pisces is that 11th house. So they're constantly trying to manipulate, because they get a little bit people coming on to them hard, especially if they have Saturnian people in their lives. Can happen, right? They tend to have a little bit of a little bit of an identity lower thing, right? A little bit or somehow not quite enough in this A-type personality world, right? So then what happens is they try to control the 11th house. They try to compensate by putting some sort of image out on the social media or friends, or trying to, because that's karma over their 11th. So they have that, so some sort of toxicity over trying to control that reality through how they present themselves in the social media. So now that's going to come down. They're going to reveal that they are, how shall we say, um, Saturn retrograde in their second house shows them a truth of something comes in from the past, some sort of financial opportunity or some way that they're supposed to earn their money, shows them that they had a complete misalignment with who they thought they were, that they're really good at something, that they can really do this, that they are that in their 11th house with the full moon there. Like, you were just being controlling. You are really cool in the, like, people do really think you're awesome. Like, you do have a gift. You are, you don't have to pretend, but just because everybody treated you like a loser most of your life, because Pisces aren't A types. So the karma for the Pisces is to get rid of that illusion that I'm supposed to be someone other than I am, because actually you're Pisces. We need Pisces because they're really connected and they're empathic and they're flow softies. We love Pisces. So Jupiter is in exaltation in your 5th house. I mean, hello, creative projects coming in, friendships, relationships, your dharmic creative path opens up because you're not trying to control it anymore with that Capricorn over your 11, and you suddenly become revealed of the success. A lot of this full moon is going to reveal the success and the victory we have made in this struggle, even though it's been slightly out of alignment, but we will see victory. We will suddenly go, oh, it was just my mind that didn't think I was succeeding at that, because I felt like I was doing it wrong, or I had to go another direction, or my image wasn't right. No. There was a truth in there that shows, oh wow, that was something about it was the right way. Or a certain tribe group that you thought aren't going to show up for you, the real face shows up and you're like, wow, they are really supportive. This is the right way. Or it's the other way. It collapses. But your 11th house is, I would say that you get some kind of victory over your social media, and you suddenly becomes very clear that your opportunities, because that's a lucky house, that you open up to clarity, and you clear that lower density self-esteem thing that opens you up to a much more exciting dharmic path involving of humanitarian mission.
Wow. I feel like this has been one powerful transmission of information. I mean,
Yeah,
holy cow.
Pisces.
Okay, so Pisces, here we go. Nectarine blossom. I feel like we've kind of come full circle, because this is where we started and this is where
Wow.
we are. Very, very similar, very similar. A little bit of a different vibe though. We have 11th house. Guess what this is about?
What?
You're among friends. It's the
Wow.
energy of sweetness
Wow.
and camaraderie and friendliness. And it enhances a desire to be of service as well. So we've got
Full moon reveals who your true friends are and the true whatever. Yes. Great.
beautiful. Yeah. I mean, this one very, very on point. I I guess the takeaway, first of all, thank you to all of those of you who have stuck with us from the start. Not just the start of this particular very lengthy cosmic chat, but the start of the cosmic chat in general. We really appreciate you.
Sure.
And and um and a special thank you to those who have stuck around for the entire cosmic chat today.
Yeah. Thanks for joining.
So hopefully, yeah, hopefully you all were able to have some really good takeaways from the live today. We appreciate so much. It was super fun for the comments in there, Natalie and Matthew and Marita for sharing with us and giving us your insights and your thoughts, because I always say we learn from one another, and I totally mean that. So, we're learning from each other in this context as well. And know that Madeline and I are here to support you guys on your path, which is why we do these cosmic chats. Know that we're here beyond the cosmic chat. If you need any further support or guidance, our information is below. If you are looking for any of the flower essences, there's a discount code, and I'm going to link the Infinite Love shortly. I'll put that on there because I only do the flower right before we come on. So right as Madeline and I are connecting is when I the flower comes through. So I'm not able to put it on there beforehand. And then Madeline's got her videos that she's going to be doing for every sign for the month of July.
Yep, I'm
So
gonna do some today. I'll try to do 3 today. So
keep an eye out for that.
gotta be
And anything you want
disciplined.
to,
That's what Saturn retrograde is, that you've got to be more disciplined.
so anything you want to add, Madeline, further about this that we
Um,
haven't already talked about at length?
I guess I don't think so. I do think that this is going to be more positive than negative as far as trauma kind of triggering, but I do think we're going to have to face ourselves and what is that word? Take ownership of some of our
Hmm.
baloney and really course correct and really reflect and go deep and see how we can change our actions so that we don't create these cycles of negative outcomes that cause us to suffer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Self-inflicted suffering. Yuck.
Yes. Freedom from our own hand. That when I
Yeah.
sometimes pray, I say, save me from me.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
this is about. This is Saturn saving us from ourselves so that we can act in a way that creates a better experience and we're not having as hard a time. Karmic play out.
All right. It is so. There we
Can do
go.
it.
We
Yep.
can do it. We're in it together. All right. We will see you all in a couple of weeks, and we'll be talking about the Leo new
Leo.
moon, which will be really fun and exciting,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, so please do like, share, comment, all of the good stuff for both Madeline and myself on both of our pages. We would so appreciate that. And we will see you here in a couple weeks. And thanks again for being here with us. We really appreciate you. Mwah.
Namaste.
Lots of love to everyone.